Welcome, everybody, to the Session Up podcast. I'm your boy, Danny.
And I'm Phil.
And we were downstairs and we met the janitor of the building. No, just kidding. We do have retired Sergeant First Class Dawson.
Sergeant First Class. Wow. That
also
just sounds...
known as my future father-in-law.
Yeah. That just sounds intimidating, man.
That does sound
Sergeant
intimidating.
First Class. Wow.
How many levels is that?
I couldn't count that high.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is that high?
It's at about 7 levels.
Damn.
Wow. Okay.
Well, welcome, Willie. We appreciate you
Yeah.
coming on the podcast with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is awesome. Because I know I was telling Danny too. Like I got a lot of questions for you. A lot of things that I want to know. Not that I would even join the military, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a little bit about the military. Pretty much, just straight up
your story,
your stories and all that stuff. So hopefully we can make this very informative.
Yeah. Educational.
Yeah, if anybody wants to join, so
Yeah, maybe people might want to join the military in the future. That's always cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Willie.
Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah.
So I've got nothing to say at this point. But no.
Who are you?
Yeah. Who are you? Where do you come from?
Well, that's okay. So 4 No, that's
First score was that?
No. So I guess I should start by saying where I started from. So I was born actually in Gary, Indiana. But
Indiana.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was actually born in Gary, Indiana. My mom moved away from there when I was about 2 years old.
Okay.
And she relocated back to a small town in Mississippi called Sardis, where she met my stepfather. And because my father had passed away when I was a baby. And so we were living in Mississippi, and it was a type of town back, and you got to remember this is in the 70s, like 70, 73.
Wow.
It was a type of town where, unlike here in California, it actually had a railroad track run straight through the middle of town.
Wow.
And the blacks lived on one side, the whites lived on the other. And if you were caught on the white side of town when the sun went down, that was your backside.
What? So the railroad basically like divided the city. It's like right in the middle.
Literally divided the city. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
This was in the 70s. So this is, it's technically it's not that long ago, but it's
that's when it was pretty intense though. That's like racial.
70s?
Racial tensions were pretty high at that time.
I thought 70s was a little bit better than like obviously the 50s and 60s. I know there's still
No, that's got to be worse. Willie, go ahead and
worse?
educate this man real quick.
So I'm gonna tell you a true story about
Yeah.
that. All right. So as a first grader, now mind you, kids don't know anything about color or hate.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Kids are innocent.
Right. So I'm in the first grade, and I have this little white girlfriend. Her name was Lisa, and we used to sit. We first graders. We sit beside each other in class, hold hands. Just kiss a little bit here.
Okay.
Just
Wait, first grade?
Yeah, first grade.
Wow. Yeah.
So anyway, so my brother, who was always a jealous type, my older brother, he decides to tell my mom that I've got this little white girlfriend, and so my mom finds out, and she's like, "You stop messing with that girl tomorrow. You move your desk. You do not sit with her anymore." Because I don't want to find one of my sons hanging from a tree somewhere.
Wow.
Because they were messing with a white girl.
Stuff like that was happening, right?
Stuff like that was happening.
Jeez.
On the regular.
Have you seen
Wow.
like with your own eyes?
I haven't seen it personally, but I knew of people that would disappear in the backwoods of Mississippi, never be seen from again. And you might find them swinging, or you might just they were dead.
What? That's crazy.
So racial tension was.
So that was in you said Mississippi. That was in Memphis.
That was in Sardis, Mississippi.
That was in Mississippi. Okay.
About 55 miles outside of Memphis.
Okay. And then
The South is crazy, huh? South. Jeez.
After Memphis, where did you go?
So we moved to Memphis in about, it started 7th grade, so it's about 1980. We moved into Memphis. I was 13. And so it was at this point that I knew I was first wanting to join the Army. So in the 8th grade.
And, this was in the 80s, you said?
Yeah, this was in the 80s, about like 82. I was in the 8th grade. And
okay. So you already kind of wanted to, you already had your mind set on joining it already?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I didn't know yet. Right,
okay, gotcha.
But I knew I was never going to stay in that little small town. I was going to walk if I had to get out of that town. I would never stay in that little small town. But so in 82, I was at a class, what do they call those things when career day.
Okay.
Right. And so this guy came in and he spoke, and I didn't know at that time he was a recruiter, or at least I don't remember it anyway. But he was telling these great stories about the stuff that you could do and things that you get into.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was hooked, man. At 14, I came straight home. I told my mom, she's like, what did you learn at career day? I was like, I'm joining the Army. She's like,
just like that.
yeah, she was like, yeah, okay. You'll grow out of that. Okay, yeah, whatever. And so, 3 years later, when I turned 17, I actually drugged the recruiter home and was like, here, sign the papers. Let me go. And so, I had an older brother that went to the Navy a couple years prior.
Okay.
And so, even though she didn't really want me to go, she signed the paper. Her and my dad, they signed it. And then so.
Wait, that's when you was 13?
No, this is when I'm 17 now. Cause
okay.
By the time.
14, okay, I got you.
But you can't join at 14.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was like, it can't be. Yeah. So 17.
Yeah.
And then, so where'd you go for basic training?
Yeah, well, that was a good one. So that was my first time ever leaving home and flying on a plane. So at 18, and the funny part of the story is that I had graduated high school on June the 3rd. And that was supposed to be the day I was supposed to ship out to the Army on June the 3rd. So the Army being so kind that they pushed my ship out date one whole day to the next day, June 4th.
Well, I mean, they
that's
should,
nice
right?
of them.
I mean, so yeah, so
Wow.
I had to graduate.
So you didn't get to enjoy your time graduating
Dang, you
and
just
being
like,
out of school.
out
You
of
didn't get
here.
to most people get to go on a little
Damn.
vacation or something after high school.
They
But
say you going straight.
you go straight to
Yeah,
it, huh? No time
no.
wasted. No time wasted.
When we get to the part about recruiting and how recruiting works, I'll explain how that works. But at the time, I didn't know any better, just like you guys didn't.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
signed
wow.
up a whole year out to be able to ship because I wanted to reserve a job a whole year
Okay.
out. So, but because I had reserved it a whole year out, my graduation date just happened to fall on the date I was supposed to ship out. So the Army, again, being as kind as they were, they just moved me out one extra day. And then the next morning, when I came back in at 2 o'clock in the morning from partying, graduation night,
Oh,
now I didn't even go to sleep that night. I was like, okay, you know what? In
Wow.
3 hours, the guy's going to be here anyway.
Yeah.
So I might as well stay on up and, just get in and ship out.
yeah. Sheesh.
So
Okay.
went straight to New Jersey, a place called
New
Fort
Jersey.
Dix. Doesn't exist anymore now. But
Or Dix. Okay.
yeah. And then flew over to New Jersey, did boot camp. So many funny stories up in boot camp. Just too many
Well,
funny
let's
stories.
hear it.
Well,
Well,
let's
I mean,
hear one. Let's hear one.
Well, first of all, I mean,
Let's hear your
let's-
best one.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of people want to hear too. Maybe a little bit about boot camp. I mean, like boot camp. How is boot camp, and maybe some stories you can share from boot camp. But I want to know more about boot camp. I want to know why I made the right decision not to go into the military.
I want to go to the military because of boot camp.
Really? Wow.
Hey, you know what? So back then it was 8 weeks long for boot camp. So
8 weeks
now
long?
it's 10 weeks, but
No,
back
okay.
then it was 8 weeks. Yeah, it was tougher back then, at least in my opinion. Anyway.
It's short period of time, but a lot
2
tougher.
months. So 2 months
Yeah,
then. Okay.
yeah. A lot more classes you have to go through nowadays.
I
But
see.
so part of the thing is that you have to do a 15-mile road march. They got rid of that piece.
Wow. 15
And
miles.
so they give you an option. You could either march out there because that's at the end of your graduation. So
Okay.
you can either march out there and catch a ride back, or you're going to ride out and then march
back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we chose to, of course, to march out and then catch the ride back because when you're ready to graduate and get out of there, you just like, I want out. I don't want
Yeah.
You don't want to
15 miles. No, screw
Wait,
that.
so you got to
Enough
march
of
there
it.
in the beginning,
Yeah, we marched out in the beginning. We left in
and
the
then
morning.
when you're done, when you're finished with boot camp,
Yep. Put you in a cattle car
and they'll bring you back.
they'll bring you back.
Oh,
and you
okay.
ride
So
back.
you either so did some people take the ride there
Yes.
and end up marching back at,
Yep.
at graduation?
Jeez.
So it's smarter to take the march there and take the ride back. I got you.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they be marching. So I think one of the funniest stories that I tell people all the time about boot camp is that, you get all this training and you're supposed to be prepared to do whatever, right? So they give us all this training with our gas mask, and you have to put that thing on like 10 seconds.
Wow.
And then so they give you they actually throw live gas at you, right?
Wow.
So we had trained for at this point about 6-7 weeks, and we were just ready, man. We were just ready to go to war, whatever.
Yeah.
Man.
And so we're just we got all this training. We know exactly what to do, right? And so we're walking down this night path one night. It's part of our graduation. We're walking along this path, right? And we know the drill sergeants out there in the dark somewhere with grass, and they're just gonna spring out and
Oh.
start throwing gas grenades at you, right? So we're out there, and everybody's got their hands on their masks, like we've been trained,
Just
for
ready-
this.
ready to put it on.
We're just ready to put it on and
Jeez.
just get it over with, right? And so we finally get to this one bend, and we turn the corner, and then out of nowhere, here comes these drill sergeants with boom, 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 just throwing all these
Oh,
gas
at the same
grenades around, right?
Oh man.
And so,
So you
at
just
this
gotta-
point, your training kicks in, right?
Yeah.
And so your training kicked in so good that everybody took off and ran for the woods.
So you didn't put your gas mask on.
Nobody put a gas mask on anywhere. We were all
So
heading for the
you
woods.
guys, all that training went out the window.
Oh
Huh?
man.
You thought it was real? You thought it was real attack or what?
Yeah, no. That's the funny part of it, that it's just like your natural instinct is to take
it's
off
to
and
run.
run.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't join the Navy to begin with, because if they
That's
throw
funny.
something at me, I always
That's
feel I
funny.
could run in the Army. But if you throw something at a ship, where you going to run to?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, yeah.
Do you feel like it should be mandatory for kids after high school to go to at least to basic training? They don't have to join the military, but just go through that sort of. Because I think they should do that. You know what I mean?
I mean, we think that they should, but I don't think it's.
I think Korea does that. I think Korea does that, right?
Korea? Well, I mean,
Israel
we're talking
does
about
it.
Korea here, bro. I mean,
just
are you
saying
talking about
though.
North Korea
No, I'm talking
or
about Korea.
South Korea?
No, South Korea.
South
I'm
Korea?
not sure if they do that.
Yeah,
I know
Israel
North
does it.
Korea.
They all go to basic training for a little bit, and then after that, when they come back, they can either join or don't have to join. But they all go through that.
Well, the good thing here is, like, in high school, you have the option to go into like a ROTC, which kind of gives you like some kind of understanding. And
think it
like
should be mandatory.
some training and stuff like that.
I think
But
it should
we're-
be mandatory.
Like ROTC, or
No,
just even after high
even
school.
ROTC, like
Yeah.
a class of ROTC or something. I think should be
Because like in high
mandatory.
school, you can join ROTC instead of like PE or instead of like sports and stuff.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can join ROTC and stuff.
What do you think? Because I mean, that builds character.
Yeah, but I'm of the mind that you should not force people to go in.
I think we should. Not just kidding.
This is not like back in the 50s or like during like World War II where like you have to.
Some
go
of these
straight
kids
to-
need that.
You get drafted
hold
into the
on.
military.
Okay.
You know?
So I joined the Army in the 80s, and at the time frame that I came in '86, the Vietnam vets were retiring.
Okay.
And so,
So,
so
this was just like the end of
Right.
the Vietnam War and stuff like
Right.
that.
So I got a chance to meet a lot of those guys. And
Yeah.
those guys, some of those guys that were in there, I mean, they didn't even graduate high school. And some of them
really?
stuck around for 20
Because
years.
they got drafted,
They got
right?
drafted.
Yeah, some of them were,
Ooh.
well, the draftees had pretty much filtered out at that point unless they made it a career.
Okay.
But the guys that were there, they would tell you the stories about, guys coming in, they didn't want to be there, how they would end up killing their own people.
Oh, really?
The superior. Because when you force
Or even like
people into something
suicide too, right?
yeah, it was a lot of issues, and there was a lot of drug usage and things like that. So so that's why the Army transition, or the military itself transitioned into the all volunteer force in the late 70s.
That makes
Because,
sense.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know
studies
that.
had shown that people that volunteer for stuff tend to have
They wanna
better
be
career,
there.
right?
Better
They wanna be
careers,
there,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Versus
makes
people
sense.
that you force into it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Well, I didn't
Yeah,
mean forced
I
into
got
the
you.
military, but just go to basic training.
Just basic training.
I think everybody needs that, man.
No, but
I
the
think-
problem is you rob. If you just do boot camp and you leave,
Uh-huh.
you're robbed of the experience of what it'll be like, because you get all the
Oh.
training, you're
Yeah.
ready, but now you go right back into civilian life like nothing ever happened.
And you're not using anything that you
Not
learned.
using any of it, right?
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
it'll go quick.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
I got you.
But I know, like let's say, like, just kind of like what Dane was saying. I think something like that though would teach you a lot of like discipline and
That's what I'm saying.
And maybe you
Some of these
might-
kids need
You
that.
might not using the stuff that you actually learned there, but I think just the experience of like learning the discipline. I think that can help you in your
Yeah, it
future
can help
life.
something.
Maybe just
Yeah.
in other different aspects of your life. I guess.
Yeah.
But-
It could, but
Yeah.
just remember this: when you go in the military, if you're an idiot when you went in there,
Oh yeah, you're an idiot when you come out.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha.
It's
Yeah.
just it is.
You're an idiot no
Once
matter what.
an idiot, always an idiot. Gotcha. Okay. So let's put that to rest because that makes sense.
So you've been in service for how long?
Well, I stayed in it for
In total
26
years?
years.
26
Yeah,
years?
26 years.
That's a long
Well,
time.
I want to know a little bit more about boot camp.
Yeah.
Like, so what were some of the things that you had to do during boot camp? Like,
Okay, well-
what were some of the stuff you had to do or had to go through?
Besides beating up people, okay.
Yeah. Besides that, yeah.
And they were more aggressive back then with the drill sergeant and stuff, right? Because
Oh,
now
yeah,
I heard
I
they're a
bet,
little
yeah.
bit more
Well, yeah,
not as
yeah,
aggressive
yeah,
as
yeah.
before, right?
Well,
Yeah, that makes sense.
well, I'm pretty sure each generation thought that the one that came behind it had a little bit easier.
You're
than
right,
them.
right.
But yeah, so when I was in, even though it wasn't allowed, drill sergeants could still put their hands on you.
Oh, really?
And when you went out to the woods, if
They could do anything.
well, kind of sort of. So when you went out to the woods, if you had an issue with one drill sergeant, in the movies they make it, they glamorize it like you and me, we're gonna go out in the woods and settle this mano a mano,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's not what happens. When you get out in that wood line and it's dark, you find out there's 4 or 5 drill sergeants waiting on you. Yeah, they don't meet you one on one.
So they hear about you, like
Yeah, they
having
gonna
issues
jump
with
you.
one. Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, I will tell you this one story. Okay, so there was this one story. There was this one guy that I used to always get into it with in boot camp named Peterson. And he was like about 6'1", And mind you, when I went in, I'm only like 5'5", weighed 155 pounds.
5'5", really?
Yep, 5
So you
5 inches
just
tall.
you grew a lot since then because you're not
2.5 inches.
2.5 inches, 2 whole inches.
2 inches is a lot when you're an adult. 2 inches,
Yeah.
growing 2 inches is a lot as an adult.
That's what she
Well,
said.
Peterson was a bully, but he was an actual bully, and he
Yeah.
would bully people all the time.
Really?
So we had this one Asian kid in there. I can't remember his name.
They have the Asian kid in there
Yeah, it was actually Asian kid. And
at that time. That's crazy.
me and Peterson used to fight all the time, and I used to give him as good as I got. And so, you know, with me and him was never an issue, but he picked on this one little Asian kid one time, and that guy would not fight back to save his life.
Mm.
And so it was on a Sunday.
Must be a nice guy.
That's what Philip would do.
No, I'll fight back.
Well, no,
I'm a nice guy, but I'll fight back.
No, the lesson was taught to all of us at that point because
To not fight back?
No, in the military, you know, you don't pick on your own. You know, you're all there for each other, right?
Right. Yeah.
So when Peterson picked on the guy, he gave him a black eye. And so it was a Sunday, and we were all, you know, on Sundays you're just relaxing, you know, go to church, whatever. But this happened Sunday afternoon, and we had a drill sergeant on duty named Simpson. And Simpson was the kind of guy you see in the movies. He was about 6'4", 6'5", weighed about 220. He was all muscle though. And nobody wanted to mess with that guy. One-on-one or nothing.
Okay.
You didn't mess with Simpson. He had that quiet look, but he had that deep voice, and if you mess with him, you knew you're going to get effed up in there.
Yeah.
So when Simpson saw the guy with the black eye, he asked him what happened, and he told him. And then Simpson started blowing his whistle, and that means when they hear the whistle blowing, everybody had to come out the barracks and get in formation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're all standing out there, and Simpson made Peterson come to the front of the thing, the front of the formation, and we're all just like, okay, what happened? Because nobody knew what had happened at this point.
Yeah.
And the first thing Simpson said was that, you know, you do not pick on your own troops. And, you know, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're black, white, whatever. You know, we're a family in here.
Yeah.
And so he made Peterson go get his rucksack, you know, backpack. And
Okay. They call it a rucksack?
Yeah, his rucksack. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so they put his rucksack on, and he fill it up with all these heavy rocks. He made him fill it with all these heavy rocks. And he put it on his back. And he told that guy, I never forget this, to this day, I can still remember just like it was yesterday. He told that guy, he said, Peterson, when I blow this whistle, you start running up them steps, and the barracks was 3 stories high. And you go through that stairwell, and you run up to the bathroom, you stick your dang head out that window, and I want to see your head come out that window. Oh. And then you run back down them steps, and you're going to do that until I stop blowing that whistle, sending you up and down them steps. And Peterson made it up the steps. The first 2 times he made it up there, even though it was heavy rocks. He made it up there. And he told him, he's like, and on the 3rd time, he would start slowing down. And Simpson told him, if I come in there and find you lollygagging in the hallway, taking a break in there, I'm going to kick your backside all up and down them damn stairwell. They'll hear you hollering all over the base. And so Peterson, he came on the 3rd trip down, he was crawling. And he was so pitiful, man. I was like, dang. I went over to Peterson. I said, look, dude, just let him win. Let him just admit you were wrong and call it a day, man.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I can't do it. I can't let him win. Wow. And he crawled back up there on the 4th trip up the steps. He just collapsed. He just passed completely out.
Man.
Yeah.
And that's how it ended. And that was the lesson. But after that, there was no
Left
more
him
of that
alone?
ever going
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
From
yeah.
anyone.
No,
From anyone.
anybody.
That's
Okay.
good. I mean,
Lesson learned.
yeah.
Jeez.
You get picking on your own.
So,
like
so how hard was boot camp?
For me,
you want to find out? Bro?
I want to find.
Can he still sign up?
No. I just want to know because I always hear different stories. But I want to hear
Yeah.
from an actual
Okay.
sergeant first class. It's a little bit different than hearing
Yeah.
from someone that's just in the infantry. You know, it's a little bit different.
They all go through the same boot camp though.
I know,
No,
but this
well,
is, you know,
yes
he's
and
obviously
no.
seen
Yes
a
and
lot
no.
more
Yes and no.
experience.
yeah.
So there's yes and no. We all go through the same boot camp.
Yeah.
Process.
But you know, you kind of monitor in a different way. You kind of see things in a different way, different perspective, I guess.
No, but the infantry guys, the guys on the front lines, they have what's called one station training, where they go through boot camp and job training all at the same. So they go through they would go through the initial 10 weeks the same as anybody else.
Yeah.
But because their job is so closely related to the job itself, to boot camp, that it's all done in one shot. So it's
Okay,
just
gotcha.
a straight like.
That's how it is
12
now,
weeks.
or that's how
That's
it
where
was
it's
back?
always been.
Oh,
That's
really?
where it's always
Okay.
been at.
They go straight into infantry
There is no
training.
break. There is no break
break
for them. Right.
Yeah,
Theirs is
'cause
just
they're front
one
line.
stop.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
stop training, because boot camp is their job. They're literally their job is to be infantry.
To train,
And that's what infantry is
yeah.
about. Boot
to,
camp.
to kill,
Gotcha.
right? Pretty much, yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
that's for them. It's that now for me. I went into communication, so I went to boot camp 10 weeks at.
So
Fort
you
Dix.
got to choose
sorry, 8 weeks.
what you're gonna go into before you even start boot camp. Like you get to choose like you could be like I want to be a chef. I want to be the person a medic. I want to be whatever. You get to choose all that before you even go in.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
But we'll get to that part.
I thought they kind of pick and choose while you're in it. Like, oh, this guy looks like he can.
No,
he
you
can be a
find
chef.
out after
This
you
guy
take
looks like he
the
can cook. This guy looks like he can.
after you do the
put
ASVAB
Band-Aids
test.
on, you know what I mean?
No.
When
Okay,
you
gotcha,
do the
gotcha.
ASVAB
No.
test, and then it kind of tells you what job you're suited for.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
depending
Which
on.
is funny because when we get
See,
to that part,
see, I'm learning a lot. That's why I ask these questions because I want to know.
He never signed up before. You can tell.
so
No.
Felix, when
Well,
we
I
get to
was
that
close.
part, here's the thing though. So we're going to get to that part when we cover
Yeah.
the recruiting side of it. But when you go in there, it's based off what you score on the test.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
so the
yeah,
funniest part about the test thing is that people that score lower on the test that can barely get in want to be rocket scientists.
Oh, really?
And the guys that can score off the charts want to be infantry people and jump out of planes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so it's the
That's
funniest
crazy.
thing.
So it's
the
like an
funniest thing.
oxymoron.
Yep, big one.
It's oxymoron.
And
yeah.
so you got to explain to people that just can barely pass the test that, hey, I know you want to be the next Warren Buffett, you want to be the next Bill Gates, but
Yeah.
you're going to have to maybe do something
different.
or you might have to be a truck driver, stuff like that.
Yeah, mechanic.
Yeah,
and,
you might
know,
have to
that
take
stuff.
So then,
Yeah.
so for in cases like that, in situations like that, they would have to choose a different field to go into because of their testing, the test scores.
Well, okay, so in different
They
branches.
still get to choose.
in different branches. Well, it's different for each branch.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so like for example, in the Army, you get to pick exactly what job you want to do based upon what you score and what's open and available to you.
Gotcha.
In the Marines, you don't get that. You get to choose one of like I think it's 4 career fields that you can go 4 or 5 that you can go into, right? And then they'll help you find a job later when you get to boot camp.
Okay, they'll help you find
The
one.
Air
Gotcha.
Force is pretty much the same way. Is that you pick a career field, and then when you get to boot camp, then you'll find out what you're going to actually be doing when you get to boot camp.
Gotcha.
And so for the Navy, it's like the Army. You can pretty much pick the job ahead of time, and then you'll know exactly
Okay,
what
so
you're
that's
going to
Yeah.
score.
That's pretty cool.
Because everybody goes through the boot camp and then they go to their job training after, right?
Well, okay, so some do, but again, if you're like infantry,
They
people
go
like that,
straight.
then you go. It's all one station training.
Yeah.
It's all one station training. So you go when you go to boot camp, you don't break. You just keep going straight through, and it's done.
Yeah, that's just all the way through. Okay, gotcha.
All right.
Gotcha.
Now, where did we leave off on the story? So
About boot camp. Boot camp.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Boot camp still.
with boot camp, like I said, it was 8 weeks.
What's the process like? Yeah, throughout your whole process, with your experience at least.
Okay, so when you first get there, now I'm not going to lie to you. When you first get there, now I just saw recently in the last year they've changed this, but when you first would get there, it's just like you see in the movies, right? You get there, the bus is coming off. Well, let me back up. Let me back up. You get to the reception station, and that's some of the best food you'll ever eat in your life.
Really?
Yeah, I mean those folks be cooking at the reception
So
station.
they give you a nice little meal before they send you off, huh?
Last good meal.
Yeah, but you're there for about 2.5 to 3 days, and when you're
Okay.
there, you give up all your civilian clothes. You're getting
Oh,
uniforms.
really?
You're getting your record started.
So
All
you
those
gotta-
things like that. Yeah,
gotta
getting
give up your
shots,
clothes? That's
haircut.
crazy.
Feel you
I
got a
heard
nice military haircut already. You be
Yeah.
running home.
All
Yeah.
right, I'm
You
ready to go.
ready?
Ready to
Go.
Hey, look, I've been in the military for like 50 years already.
And Lily, we got an application here for
Yeah.
you, bro.
So so that's your initial part. Once they get all your records and all the shots and dental records,
Yeah.
and everything started. Okay. So then they put us on the bus, and we're going to meet our drill sergeants now, right? And this was too funny. So we get there, and we don't know what to expect because we're like, okay, we've
Yeah,
seen
you just
movies
get
and
there,
stuff.
yeah.
We already don't know. So then, as soon as the bus pulls up, this one drill sergeant gets on the bus and starts
Oh.
yelling all these commands all the place, like,
And
do
you're
that, do that, blah, blah, get off the
Like,
bus,
what?
you maggot, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, what's going on? So you're already scared, and then as
don't
soon
know
as you
anything
get
going
off
on.
the bus, now you've got like 4 or 5 drill sergeants all in your ear, like, hey, you, what are you looking at me for? Get over there, stand over there, do this, and you're like,
Okay, damn.
Everybody's just all over the place.
That's scary.
they call it the shark
I've seen
attack.
videos and they make you stop. They
call it
start doing
shock?
push-ups and stuff, huh?
Yeah, it's called a shark attack. That's
Shark
what they
attack,
do.
okay.
Oh, shark attack.
Yeah,
okay.
because a bunch of them are all around you,
Yeah,
just screaming different
just getting
commands,
at you.
right? So, and
You
this
get
is the
there
fun-
at night?
No,
Or-
you get there in the day. It's the daytime.
The daytime, okay.
They
okay.
come pick you up in the morning after you've been at the
Oh,
reception
okay,
station.
gotcha.
So so all of a sudden we were all scared. We're standing up there at the position of attention, which is standing straight up, and everybody's got their knees locked. We're scared to move or look right or left. and so we're standing there, and they're still hollering all these commands, right? And this one guy, he had candy in his mouth, and he had some candy in his mouth. For coming from the reception station, you can have candy.
Oh.
So he had it in his mouth, a piece of hard candy, And the drill sergeant had
He
him
had a
so
Jolly
scared.
Rancher.
The drill sergeant had him so scared that he locked his knees up too long and the blood flow cut off. So he passed out. And when he passed out, he went like this, face forward.
Oh, man.
Hit the concrete, and the candy shattered his front teeth. Man,
What the-
the
Oh,
drill
he
sergeant,
had a jawbreaker.
the drill
He had
sergeant
a
was so
jawbreaker
scared at that
for sure.
point. They were like, "Okay, you guys sit down. Don't worry about it. Sit down. Sit down. Don't,
And this
don't do
is
anything."
like your
First day.
one of your first experiences in
First
there. Oh
day.
man, that's scary.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So but that set the stage because then the next morning they get you up at like 4:30. You had to get up at like 4:30 in the morning.
4:30 in the
That's
morning.
like every day, right? 4:30.
Monday through Friday.
Gotcha.
So you're doing PT now, or physical training,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to get up, and they're going to either take you running, you're going to do push-ups, sit-ups, you might be doing
At that time,
pull-ups.
were you in pretty good shape?
Oh, I just came out of cross country. I ran track in
Okay.
high school.
So you're
okay.
kind of
Yeah.
you're good. So you're like ready.
Yeah, I was ready.
Okay,
running,
gotcha.
all that stuff was no problem.
He
It
was
was
already good. Yeah.
the push-ups and stuff that you have to work on
Mhm.
because the upper body strength.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, that part of it is, the running, again, I have no issue with all that. Even the push-ups, I found I could do that pretty good. Because when you're light, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, when you're like,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
easy.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
You're not really pushing anything.
And so you asked about some of the things you do, right? So
Yeah.
there's all type of stuff you learn. Like everything, like the basic stuff is like, of course, like learning the alphabet, how to tell
Mhm.
military time. They teach you first aid, basic first aid. So,
Mhm.
you can if somebody break a bone, you can splint it.
Mm.
If somebody's bleeding, and you
Mm.
can stop the bleeding, things like that. Sucking chest wounds. I can never forget that crap.
What?
Wait,
Yeah.
second what?
Chest wounds. So
Chest
So you
wound.
get to suck
Like blood out
the
of
blood
it?
out of someone.
See, the feeling's already got it.
Sucking
Man's
sucking the blood out. No, the bullet. When you get shot, you suck the bullet.
You pick the bullet out and then you suck the blood so it doesn't. It doesn't.
No, it's not like that.
I'm
No,
just kidding.
It's not that bad.
I know.
But no, so sometimes you'll take a wound to the chest and it'll get in the lung cavity, right? And so it'll puncture your lung. And so the arrows start coming out and you can't breathe. You
Oh,
can't
man.
breathe because the air is rushing out through
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hole right
yeah,
there,
yeah.
right? So you have to take some plastic and then you'll put it over the spot.
Over
and
it,
then
okay.
Right. You put the plastic
Put the
over
pressure on it.
Then put the pressure on it so you can stop it. So you can stop breathing normally through your mouth, right?
Gotcha.
So yeah, you have to learn stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then you'll learn how to fire different weapons. So like you'll learn how to throw hand grenades. And those things are pretty loud. I don't care what they say in the movies. Those things are damn
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah.
And then
So you're doing all that already within the first couple of weeks while
Yeah.
you're in there?
no,
Wow.
not so you build
There's
up to
only
it.
8
You
weeks
build
too,
up
bro.
to it.
No, only 8 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
you have to build
but
up
you're already
to it.
throwing grenades and stuff like that.
No, we were
within-
throwing grenades. I think around the middle, around the fourth week, around the fourth
That's,
week.
that's a lot sooner than I expected.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
You got to learn how to march. You have to learn.
Yeah,
you,
Yeah,
I
do a
thought
bunch of all that
that would be
stuff.
all that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
no.
think you would be like like with weapons until like maybe months later or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
That's
that
what
comes
I
about.
thought, yeah.
No,
But
you get your rifle.
that's pretty soon.
You get your rifle like the first couple of days. You get
Wow,
assigned a
really?
rifle the first.
You get
month.
assigned a rifle, like
Right.
that's your rifle for the whole.
And then you get to like start shooting and stuff already too.
Yeah, if you can find a drill sergeant that'll let you shoot.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
But it's not now.
No,
You can
no,
already-
you don't
gotcha.
start shooting like that. You have to actually go to a range. You have to
Mhm.
learn all these safety. You have to learn all these safety
Yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah.
And so
That's what I'm thinking. Like, yeah, for you to get grenades within like just a couple of weeks, that's pretty crazy.
Well, no, you didn't even get the real grenades. First, they give you the
Okay.
practice ones that they have these little timers inside of them that
Mhm.
make a little poof
It just
sound.
makes a sound. Okay.
Yeah, it makes a
Yeah,
sound,
so-
right. You,
so
you
you
practice throwing those.
So at least you know your timing. So you learn the timing and stuff like
Well,
that.
if you don't want to hold those things too long, if you hold, they can hold them for about 8. They call it cooking, right?
8
so
seconds?
You hold it in your hand, you're cooking it off before you
Mhm.
throw it. And the reason you learn to cook it is because sometimes you see in the movies where you'll throw a grenade and then the guy
Yeah,
will get it and
kick
throw
it
it right
back
back.
in.
in.
Right. Yeah.
And then
You're
you
throwing
can
it
load
too
up.
soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I play Call of Duty sometimes back in the day, and I learned how to. You have to cook the grenade. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Isn't there like a mission statement or something that you have to learn
well, no.
to recite or something like
No,
that?
so what you're thinking about is the God. It's for so long for the boot camp. That's the God. What's that stuff called? The
The commandments or something?
no, it's God. Because you're supposed to know. You're supposed to memorize those damn things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's what I read.
Well,
No,
well, we see you didn't memorize it.
I haven't been in boot
'Cause
camp
there's
in
a-
20
yeah,
plus
'cause I-
30 years.
Yeah, that's
I
true,
know,
that's
I know.
true. I'm just teasing.
Oh no!
That's
What is
teasing.
those things called? That's funny.
That's
What
funny.
are those things called? It'll probably come back to me later. I'll look it up
Yeah.
if I can.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway,
But so,
yeah,
was
but I
boot
remember
camp-
the second one. I remember
Okay.
the second one to
What
this
is
day.
that?
I will guard everything within the limits of my post and quit my post only properly relieved. So
Okay.
that I still remember this day because you have to memorize those things.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, because I read about that, and then you got learn how to tell military time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still hard for me to. I can never figure out the military time.
Just gotta add subtract.
It's so
bro.
tough. I know, but it's just like I think I choose not to. That's
You
why.
just look at like
man, like
14. What is that? what time is
feel
it?
real quick.
Like 21:30.
What's going on?
I feel it. It's real simple, right? So all you have to remember is this, right? It just starts. 1 0.
Yeah, I know.
1 is
24
1,
hours.
right? And then you go 13 is 1, 14.
Mhm.
15. Yeah.
But when you have the habit of just the regular clock. But was it like in a was it like hard to adjust to like learning the military time and stuff like that while you were there? Like getting used to it, getting comfortable with it?
No, because the recruiters actually worked with us before we took
Oh,
off
okay.
to
So
actually
they kind
start
of,
learning those things like that alphabet
gotcha,
and
gotcha.
time, so that you'll know when you get there.
Gotcha.
You'll be ahead of the curve.
Well, let me ask you. So was boot camp what you expected? Like, was it harder or was it a little bit easier than what you expected going in?
It was hard. To make no mistake. Now,
So it was harder than what you expected.
Yeah, and if you're not in shape, it
It could be
worse.
harder.
It's even worse. Yeah.
Because you only get
gotcha.
8 weeks to go through that and
Well,
to
it's 10 weeks
train.
now, though.
It's 10 weeks now.
10
So
weeks
when
now.
you should train like a month before going.
Yeah, right. You would
Because if you don't,
exercise,
and
go
you're just
running.
trying to go in because everybody else is doing the same things, a lot of running, right? So
yeah, that wouldn't make sense.
you barely
That's-
start building
that'd
like
be
that
dumb.
muscle memory and all that stamina and stuff. It takes at least
Yeah,
4
yeah.
weeks,
Yeah,
right?
and you get people that when they come in, they're overweight, and and you're gonna lose weight. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You're gonna
all
lose,
that
yeah.
So
exercise,
it would have
you're
been
gonna
like
lose weight.
easy if you already lost some of that weight before you go in, right?
Have
Yeah.
you seen anybody quit boot camp?
So that
During
brings
your
up,
time.
okay,
Or
so
give
that
up?
brings up another funny
Like
story.
give up,
Right.
yeah.
So and this guy, they'll probably sue me for this if they ever find
Uh-oh.
out I said this, but
Oh.
so that's just true story. So we had a guy in our that started boot camp with us, a guy named Harris, and Harris
Shout out Harris.
got in there and decided from the first 3 days of boot camp that he didn't want to be there. And
Oh,
Harris
okay.
made his decision. He's
He
like,
said-
because they asked you when you're in there, it says, is there anybody here that shouldn't be here? Raise your hand now. Okay. Harris raised his hand and said he don't think he should be there.
Wow,
He said
okay.
he made a mistake. And so nobody listened. So they were like, okay.
like, whatever.
Harris.
They didn't take him seriously. They
Well,
thought
no,
he was
they
just
took him serious, but so they took him aside and they spoke to him and said, okay, tell us what the issues are. Da, da, da.
maybe
And so-
something that could be fixed.
Right. And so they convinced Harris to go ahead and start it. And then, they told him that, hey, look, if it don't work out, then, we'll let you out, right? So Harris gets in there, and after 5 days of boot camp, Harris goes on the run. He runs. He goes
he runs
AWOL.
away.
He goes AWOL. Yeah, he took off. And so
Damn.
Harris is gone, right?
But how can you even run away from there? Like,
It's only 15 miles.
I've been,
He knows how to get there.
but what?
Harris is gone. We wake up the next morning. They're like, hey, you guys here? Harris took off.
So nobody knew he left.
No, he left the base. Harris was gone.
Was Harris white?
No, Harris was half white, half black, if I remember.
Oh,
right.
okay.
So he was a real light skinned guy.
Light skinned guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so
Light
Harris
skinned
gone.
guy with blue eyes, probably.
He was gone 1 week before they caught him. He was gone a week before they caught
He
him.
was in the forest for a week?
Well, no, not
But
wherever he was. He got a
why
base.
didn't he just like leave the right way? Because I mean, they're obviously giving him the opportunity to leave if he wanted to. Why didn't he just
It's
leave?
not that simple. You just
Really?
don't get the. You can't just like
Like
you
you trying to
walk out
pick,
that
you
door.
trying to pick
now,
out the
right.
weak people, bro. Like
No,
oh,
no.
Because being on a run is like, to me, I was like, that's
Well,
that's like being on a run from like the FBI or something. Like,
But you gotta hear the
why
rest
would
of the
why
story,
would you
Felix.
live that kind of life?
Yeah, yeah.
you got to hear the rest of the story, Felix. So this is
Okay.
how this went down, right? So they caught him after 1 week, and they bring him back. And we're hearing all these stories about they're gonna bring him back in chains and stuff. And he's gonna be on a chain gang. We're
man.
making up stories and everything else. Right? So now they bring him back, and then they put him back in the boot camp with us. They were like he's never left. They're like, okay,
Like, hey.
dude, come on, you're gonna
Okay.
go through this, right?
Are you gonna do this? You're gonna
And-
do this again?
No. Here's the funny part, though, right? So now somebody has to watch him. So whoever his bunkmate is, the guy that
Has
has an
to-
up bunk and a lower bunk.
Oh man,
Whoever's
that wasn't
bunking
you,
with
right?
him- no, not me.
That's a big responsibility.
They've got to watch Harris all the time to make sure he doesn't run
man,
away
that's
again, right?
horrible.
Yeah.
So Harris was back a week, and he takes off again. He
Jeez.
runs off again. Only this time he took his bunkmate with him.
What the hell? Wow.
Oh my god.
His
So-
bunkmate and he closed. He's like, hey, look, man, let's get out of here.
Look, man.
Harris should have been a used car salesman because
Hey,
he
he
could close
was a
them.
closer.
Hey, did he become a recruiter?
Oh,
He became a recruiter. Huh?
So Harris,
that's what he should have been.
Harris is the roommate. The bunkmate was gone for like 2 days, and then he figured out. He's like, you know what, this is not for me. So he turned himself back in and came back. Harris was on the run for 2 weeks this time. Now, mind you, we're in week 6 at this point. We're like in week 6. We're almost ready to graduate. They bring Harris back, and this time, they brought him back in chains. And so Harris is like, I don't want to be here. It's a mistake. And da-da-da. So they finally let him out. As a trainee discharge. But I was just laughing because I was like, they could have saved themselves a lot of time and effort. They just let him out
go.
in the beginning.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to go.
I like the perseverance though, man.
He did not give up.
He did not give up. That's the truth.
That's
Hey, he
crazy.
should have stayed.
That's crazy.
That's the mentality you need for the army, for the military. Never give up.
Wait,
you
but
know?
he was very adamant about like leaving. Like he did not
Yeah,
want to be
he
there.
wanted
So
to leave.
it was not for him, man. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
but see, that's one of the biggest problems that people have with the military, and why a lot of people won't join is because they want to be able to quit when they want to, and you
If you
can't
feel
just
like it,
it's not like a job out here where you can just, all right, I'm not
Yeah,
coming to work
it's
today,
not-
and go to hell. It doesn't work that way. You have to, you literally have
Yeah.
to.
You
come
can't
to
call
work.
off,
You know,
right? You can't call
You
off.
can call off, but you can't quit.
But you can't
just
quit,
like
you know?
that.
You could call off.
Yeah, you can call off.
Oh.
I mean, because people get sick
I'm
sometimes. so,
sick.
yeah.
Okay,
you
well,
know?
so but they probably you need to go to the doctor.
Yeah, you have to go what they call sick
call.
calling. Yeah, you have to go to sick call.
So you can't say like, I don't feel like when
You
I
get
work today.
PTO.
It don't work that way.
None of that.
And in boot camp, you have to actually, when they get up to go for PT in the morning, you actually have to say, I'm going on sick call. And then so at 6 o'clock, they'll take you out. So when you're in boot camp, it'll work this way. If again, you're at 4:30, you're starting your workouts and all that stuff. So about 5:30, you're done. And then you got about a half hour to get quickly showered up, shaved and everything, and ready to go to breakfast.
Get ready, okay.
And then so you're eating breakfast at like 6:30 in the morning. And then by 7:30, your morning is starting with training, whatever training you're going to be doing for that day.
Yeah.
You're into it, and you'll break off for lunch somewhere around noon, and then you'll keep training until about 4 o'clock, and then you'll come back. You'll go eat dinner. Dinner's over by 6:30, and then
Oh, that early?
Yeah, and then you get a couple of hours of free time to wash clothes. Write
Yeah,
letters.
yeah.
Well, we used to write letters back in the
Oh,
day. 'Cause
yeah,
there was no
yeah.
cell phones.
Yeah,
What
they
is
do
that?
some.
What is that? What is that? Like a paper and a pen or something like that?
Yeah, so those are cell phones.
And then it'll be shipped out with a horse. The
With
horse will ship it out.
It was a horse, right?
Yeah, we were making collect calls. We had to make collect calls. So it's
Really?
like, yeah. it was like,
Payphone.
Yep, you had to wait in line.
Man.
It's like in the movies, you had to wait in
Oh.
line for make a call.
Jeez.
So, and the funny part of it was, so then at lights are out at 9 o'clock. They played it. They played the
9
music.
o'clock?
9 o'clock lights out.
That's pretty early.
And then
So you gotta be asleep by then, right?
well, you don't have to be asleep. That's
But
what.
at
That's
least
what
lights
Jelly's
are
on.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to
yeah,
be
yeah.
asleep. No,
Yeah.
but lights are going out, and so you have your little flashlight. You're still trying to write a letter at night.
Yeah.
Your flashlight.
Are you
then-
allowed? Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just the
lights
lights
just
are
have
just
to be
out.
out. You don't have to
Okay,
be
gotcha,
asleep,
I
but
gotcha.
the lights are
Okay,
going
Okay,
out.
so
so-
that's
They're
your
not-
decision.
That's
If
quiet
you-
time.
If you want to sleep at 3 a.m. and wake up at 4:30, that's up to you.
No, don't work that way. So no, because matter of fact, when the first day that they got us up for boot camp, when we were after we spent the first night there, right? The next morning they come in there, right? And they're banging these trash can lids, making all this daggone noise,
Wow.
and you're like, "What in the world? Come back at 6 o'clock! It's too early for this stuff."
Jeez.
And so they come and roust you out of bed and everything. And then no matter how you make this is too funny. So no matter how we would make our beds, they teach you how to make a bed the right way, right? And no matter how you make it, they always tell me you can bounce a quarter off of it. I don't care if you can bounce 50 cents off it. It doesn't matter. They would never be satisfied. And so we came back one day after making our bunks up, came back, the bed's all tore up. And we were like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah.
we did a good job.
Yeah.
And so they were like, yeah, fix them right. And okay, so then the next morning, here we go again. We go out and we come back, right? Man, we come back, there's mattresses all in the hallway, down the
What?
stairwell, out the windows.
And it's a
And
drill
the-
sergeant's doing that.
Drill sergeant's doing this while you're in training. They're out there
Assholes,
screwing
man.
up your- there's- no matter what
So
you
it
do,
has to be like perfect. Like
Well, I think it's never gonna be perfect.
there's a lesson, right? There's
Right?
a lesson they're teaching
It's-
you,
yeah.
right? And so, you can always be done better. And
Yeah,
so they don't
gotcha.
want you to get complacent early on
Gotcha.
thinking that you've mastered everything. They want you to learn the lesson of take your time, go through it,
Keep doing it.
it. Yeah, keep doing it.
yeah.
Right.
gotcha.
And so, because if you tell somebody in the beginning, oh yeah, you got it done right the first time, you don't
And
need
you
to know
think you're
anything
good,
else.
yeah.
You think
Yeah,
you're good,
yeah,
get
yeah.
complacent.
You get complacent,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So you don't think about those things then. You're just mad because the bigger guys be like, hey, that's my mattress in the hallway. You got to go downstairs and get yours.
Is it initialed?
No,
You don't know which one's yours is.
no, he's like grab whatever mattress you can
He's
get.
like, whoa, that pea stain is mine.
Yeah, that's my pea stain.
That's mine right there.
And so they don't allow you to have food in the barracks and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So you can't sneak food out even though people do it all the time.
How was the food there? Is it good?
I don't know if I always tell people this. I don't know if the food was that good in boot camp or I was just that hungry because
Oh, okay.
you're working so hard. But
Yeah,
the
okay,
best
okay.
tasting
That
Did
makes
it
food
sense.
come in
I've ever had.
plastic bags and you got to put water to make it turn into a
no.
skin?
No,
These
the
are
funny
actual
part-
meals, right?
These are actual
During
meals.
boot camp?
They're cooked in the cafeteria.
these are
They're
actual
actually
meals.
cooked in the cafeteria, yeah.
Okay.
And so you can eat as much as you want because you're burning so many calories per day. You're not gaining weight no matter what you eat.
Yeah, because you were working. I mean, basically,
Yeah.
you're
Did
working out throughout the whole
the
day already.
ones that was in boot camp were the ones cooking and doing that? Did you guys have people working in the cafeteria?
No, so they were actually civilians that actually
Civilians.
cooked.
Okay.
And if you go into a military base now, the cooks are not military cooks. They will be over there supervising civilian staff. But it's
Got it.
civilians actually
Yeah.
doing the cooking, except
That's
when you're in
only
war zone.
That's only like if you're like on like a mission, like a war zone, right? That's when like your own people will have to like do certain jobs and stuff like that.
Right.
But when you're on like the base, like boot camp, it's like it's regular jobs,
Civilians,
Right,
Regular
right.
jobs. Gotcha,
Right,
gotcha.
yeah.
That
Guys
makes-
like you and Danny Boy be in the kitchen cooking.
yeah, I'll be in there. I'll be
Not
in there.
me.
yeah,
Not
for
me.
sure.
Definitely not me.
Danny will be janitor.
Yeah, so you get out of that, So if at some point you'll graduate boot camp, you know, once you
What's
master all the
required?
tasks and everything they'll put you through the final test.
Okay.
But I would be remiss if I didn't say this about boot camp before I let this go.
Yeah.
So everybody hears about the gas chamber and learn how to do
Gas
a gas
chamber?
chamber. Yeah. So in order to get you to trust your gas mask, remember I told you how they
Okay.
trained us to put them on and we didn't put them on when the time came.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so a rite of passage is to go through the gas chamber. Okay.
Mhm.
So what they will do is they fill a room. It's a concrete room, and you guys know about this because you know coming from overseas, you know those concrete houses. It's a block. It's a concrete block.
I thought you
room.
assumed that
Yeah.
we were in jail or something.
No.
It's a concrete wall. I was like, what? Okay.
No. So
Okay.
they have the hollow blocks place, right? So it's all in there, and it's just full of gas. They be cooking that gas in there all morning. They have it under a big old coffee can. They'll have the little pellets, the tear gas pellets, and they light them.
Okay.
And so now the gas is just cooking in there all day. It's just real thick and heavy. Now you can smell it outside.
Mhm.
And if you know anything about tear gas, it'll make your eyes run,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know, your
Yeah,
nose run, and everything like that.
Everything, yeah.
All right, so here you go. So now you're supposed to go in there, and they march you in there like one at a time, and you could make these lines like 4 lines or whatever, right? And you have your gas mask already on, so you can smell this. It's so strong you can just smell it through the mask, but it's not bothering you.
Okay.
Now here comes the rite of passage. Now the first row they tell you to take off your gas mask and say your name and social security number.
Oh, wow.
Wait,
So
while
your
you're in the room.
Yeah, while you're in the room.
gas chamber?
Yeah, while you're in the gas chamber, they want you to take the mask off and recite your first name, last name, and your social security
Yeah.
number. You won't even get past your second name. I
Really?
promise you. No, because that's how fast that stuff works, especially it's concentrated like that.
It kicks,
So-
it hits you right away, huh?
I was in
That
the
messes
third
you
row.
up,
I was in
man.
the third rank. Okay, so I'm in the third rank there, and I'm sitting there watching the first guys come up there, and they're taking them off, and they're like, ooh, crying and
all
everything.
messed up, yeah.
And I'm like, oh crap, that's me in a minute. That's gonna be me in a second, right?
Oh, man.
And then there's always those smart people that be like, well, I'm just gonna hold my breath, right?
that doesn't matter.
No, doesn't matter because you know why?
'Cause it's
Because
thick.
when they hold their breath, the drill sergeant just walk up to you and go poop in the chest. And you and
You
once
gotta
you breathe
breathe
it
it
in,
in, right? That's
There
what
you
fuck
go.
up.
Oh,
Now,
man.
there you go.
Right?
Yeah, now you breathe. Now you sucked it in a
Jeez.
good. So it comes to me, right? It comes to me. Our row is ready to take ours off, right? And so we take them off. At first, everybody's like, we're not taking them off. And then you take it off, and then as soon as I said, my name is.
Oh, damn.
So you didn't even test your name.
You didn't even check.
Oh,
Damn.
man.
No, man. I mean,
That's
it's
scary.
just eyes running. I mean,
How
it's
long
the
were
most
you in
horrible
there for?
experience. It seems like eternity, but you're in there for like about maybe 30 seconds to a minute max.
Oh, man.
That's a long time, though.
Yeah, that is a long time.
1 minute?
I'm telling you, it might have been shorter, but to me, it was like,
Yeah.
man, I was in there for 30. I was in there doing life.
Damn.
And so, your eyes is running and burning. I mean, it's just burning.
Snot coming
Yeah.
out.
It's not coming out your mouth.
Oh,
You're
no.
drooling.
Oh,
You're
man.
just drooling. And then the funny part is, and it seems like every gas chamber, they build it right next door to a big tree. And so you go to the exit door and they tell you, don't run because there's a tree outside. And so, of course, you'd be blind. You'd be trying to get out
Oh,
as
you
fast as you
can't
can. And it is always the 1 or 2 people that are running into that tree and get knocked out.
Oh, man.
That's a setup. I think they set that up just to see that for amusement.
Yeah.
Man, but boy, and then you walk around fanning. It clears out about 30 seconds to a minute once
Oh,
you start
okay.
fanning it out.
Okay.
It doesn't last too long.
Yeah,
Okay,
it doesn't last
gotcha,
too long,
gotcha.
but man, that is the most. But the reason
It's
they do
painful,
that,
huh?
the reason they do that for you is so you can learn to trust your gas mask,
Yeah.
and that if you maintain it, it will protect you like when you first went in
In
there.
case you ever go into a situation
Yeah.
where that gas actually
Yeah.
Would
leaks
you
out
do that?
somewhere.
Would you do that, Philip?
I
In
mean,
the gas?
I think I would do it for the experience, just
Take
to
the
know
mask
what it feels
off?
like.
I know.
Like I would maybe get pepper spray just to see what it would feel like.
Oh, babe, you got your pepper spray?
Bring
Hey, he said it. You got it in the purse?
No, you know what I mean. Like I would try it out just to see how it feels. You know what I mean?
Nah,
Yeah.
let's do it on camera right now. You down?
Put it on TikTok.
You put it on TikTok, bro.
Nah.
Anyway,
So what?
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say. So at some point, boot camp will end, and then
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
family day. People come to watch you march across the field.
Okay.
You put on your good suit and you march.
It's just
across
like
the
basically you're
field.
graduating from
Do
boot camp.
Yeah.
you have to go through like the drill thingy too, right? To go to graduate? Is that
But-
part of it?
Yeah, so
to
you'll
finish
be
a
marching.
drill?
Right, you'll be marching and standing in formation. And,
I'm in an
and-
obstacle course. Sorry.
Oh no,
obstacle course.
you'll go through that. You'll have the obstacle course and a confidence course. That
And you
you'll
gotta
go
do like
through.
push-ups and there's like tests for that too, right? Push-ups, pull-ups, and all that. Or is that-
Well, no. Well, the test. So now currently, as we stand right now, the Army is in the middle of transitioning over to a new physical fitness test that's different than what I went through.
Mhm.
So when I went through it, to graduate, you had to pass push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now they've instituted some different. I've seen them, but don't ask me off the top of my head what they are. But there's like about 5 or 6 different events you have to do now. and it's a lot different. But it's stuff that's more related to combat, like dragging a body and stuff like that.
Okay.
Things of that nature. So,
Okay. I got you.
so yeah, it's different, and you pass all that. You have to pass that. You have to qualify with your rifle. So I don't want to toot my own
everything.
horn, but
Yeah.
I qualified as a sharpshooter back when I first went in
nice.
at
Okay.
boot camp. Yeah, so
I can see that.
And all that experience from shooting was during the military, or did you have experience shooting before?
well, I had shot rifles
In Mississippi,
in Mississippi. Backwoods, yeah.
Hey,
I had shot
Daddy,
rifles.
can you spell Mississippi?
MISSISIPPI.
Crooked letter I.
That's
That's
a
how folks
long
used to say it.
word. But yeah.
No.
So you were shooting already before, so you already had experience.
But it's different when you're shooting an M16 and you see people shooting M4s.
M16.
Yeah, so it's different because in M16, believe it or not, you can't just point it and it'll shoot straight. You actually have to line the sights up right, or you can be pointing at like that light over there in the corner.
You also have to have
and the bullet will be going left.
Oh, okay. But you also
Man,
have
that's
to have
crazy.
like the right stock and the right
Not to stop. Not to stop.
Oh, not to
No,
to
stop.
have a better.
I've never shot a gun before, ever
No, you have to
Take
learn
in my life.
No, you have to
Can you
learn
take
how
'em?
to take. You have to learn how to take it apart, put it back
Mhm.
together,
Yeah.
maintain it, and then you actually go to the range and learn how to shoot.
Yeah,
that
I've
thing.
never.
And you're shooting at targets that up to as close as 50 meters and as far away as 300 meters. And so if you get, I'm trying to remember my top of my head here. It's been a long time, but if you get, I think it's like 26, 28 was marksman. If you got like 30 to 30, it was maybe it's 30 to 33, 34.
What
You were a
shots?
sharpshooter.
Like
Target
target
hit
hits.
target,
Oh,
right.
okay.
And then if you
Okay.
got 36 to 40, I know that. I remember 36 to 40 was expert. So I didn't get expert on my first time going to the range, but when I got to job training and further down the road, then I started hitting expert. I started actually getting expert.
So if you have like a higher rating for shooting, so like when you actually go to like let's say on a mission, because you have a higher score, they would probably put you to be as a shooter for whatever the reason is.
Well, not yes and no, because when as you'll find when you go into combat, and I think they found that out, and especially when they went into Iraq, is that you can be set upon at any time.
Yeah.
People thought they were safe, and so it didn't matter if you could shoot
Or if you can't.
40 out of 40, or you could shoot 10 out of 40. When they come at you, you need to be able to defend yourself.
You-
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah.
So but since you were a good shooter, were you able to shoot a lot since you were a good shooter from boot camp and stuff like that? They didn't use you to shoot a lot.
What he's trying to say is how many people you shot.
That's it.
Okay, I'm gonna tell Philo what I tell you. Hey, classified, and if I tell you, Philo, I have to kill you. Right now. But no, so you believe it or not, so like I was in communication, so my job wasn't to go out and shoot people.
Oh,
on a
because you're
regular
in
basis.
communication.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So you're like the one communicating like this person's injured. We need medics over here now.
That's dispatch, bro.
No.
That's dispatch.
No, I actually signed up and I was actually a telephone/computer installer.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So my job, whenever we would go, after boot camp and all that was over, and I went to job training, whenever we would go places, my job was to go in, see what phones we had to install, actually install them, come up with the plans to put them in, and then actually install data circuits.
Okay.
Okay. So, so after boot camp, where did you get stationed?
Went to Fort Seal, Oklahoma. And
Oklahoma.
Then, from Fort Seal, Oklahoma.
In the south.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
that's the
It's
south, right?
Midwest.
That's
Midwest. Yeah,
Midwest.
Midwest.
Yeah, Midwest.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
No,
Right
Oklahoma
there.
is still on the west. Because
Midwest. It's like
well, because
Michigan,
NBA, Oklahoma is on
yeah.
the it's on the west.
Oh yeah, I know. That's weird.
I go off of that.
Midwest,
Okay.
Midwest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was only there for a short time, and then I left there to go to where I actually did all my other training was at Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia.
Georgia.
And that's where I grew up at. Yeah. That's where I grew up at.
That's the south.
That's where you grew up, Georgia.
Yeah,
How long were you in
the-
Georgia for?
Man, I spent a good part of my career. I spent like 8 years at that thing altogether.
8 years. Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
but I that wasn't all at one shot. I left and came back.
Okay.
So one of the funny things about when I went to the training there is you have to learn how to climb telephone poles.
Oh,
And people think you just
these
climb
telephone
poles.
poles they have like the little metal bars for you to be able to climb.
Oh no!
Oh, back in the day,
no,
didn't
no,
have
no.
that.
No, no,
Ah.
no. They had them, but you don't get to do
Oh,
that.
you don't get to use
You got to
it.
learn how to
Okay,
do
you
it
gotta-
the right way.
Like
you
the
gotta use- I think-
Mulan way.
I think what you would use is like a cloth and you hold it.
Yeah, Mulan, bro.
No. You have to grab it like this around there.
Yeah,
and you have to
yeah.
stop.
Oh, you
Yeah,
see how
yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
just teasing.
I thought that's really what happened. Oh man.
Oh
No,
man.
no.
Because I
So-
used to climb banana trees like that.
No. This
I gotta
worse.
see that.
This is worse. So you have to climb, and to graduate, you have to actually climb a 20-foot telephone pole.
Wow.
Man, that's
And
high.
so like the ones outside your house, right? And so
that's pretty high.
you have these little what they call gaffs, and there's two different sets of gaffs. There's a pole gaff that's about this long, and they go on your boot. They're like little claws that go on your boot, and then there's a tree gaff that's about that long. And what you have to do is you have to climb. You have to go click like a chicken, tick 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 up the wood.
Wow.
You're holding on one hand up like this, but your boots are kicking into the wood. And if you kick the wrong way, if you kick the wrong way, you could easily fall off if you're not hooked on. And
Did you see anyone fall off of that?
Oh, I'm gonna get to that in a second. So to graduate, they would do this because in order for you to go to the installation part, the easier part of it, you have to climb out of what they call the pole orchard. And it's just like what it sounds.
Orchard.
A bunch of telephone poles up in one spot. So they take your hat because you can't go anywhere in the military without a hat, right?
Oh.
If you're in uniform, you got to have your hat on.
Okay.
They take your
I didn't know
hat,
that.
they climb to the top of the pole, and they put it up there, and you got to get up there and get it. You got to go up there and get it. And
You want your hat, you go get it.
So whenever you're in uniform, you always gotta wear a hat.
You always got to wear a hat.
You always gotta wear a
Yeah,
hat.
but
Okay.
unless it's special circumstances. But
Got you.
so they put your hat up there. But we had this one little girl. I can't remember her name to this day, but she was a slender little girl, and man, she was on her way up there. And they have these little you have a safety belt like you see the guys wear in the shows.
Yeah.
She gets all the way up there to get her hat right. She gets all the way up there, and then she starts panicking. And then so her work belt starts slipping off her waist. Because she was a real slender girl.
Yeah.
And so the work belt starts sliding down, and now it's down around her knees and her ankles. And she's, her feet are into the pole like this, and she's holding like this. And they're like, okay. And believe it or not, there's actually a procedure that you have to learn to go up there and rescue somebody off the pole like that if they get stuck. And it can't happen. But so she's up there, and they're like, okay, this is what you're going to do, right? You're going to take one foot out, unhook it from the pole. You're going to let the belt drop off that side. Put your foot back in there. Take the other one out. Let it drop off. Let the belt come down, and then you're going to climb down, right? Didn't work that way. She got one foot out. The belt dropped off, and then she kicked it back in, and then she go to take the other foot out, and whoop, she came off the pole from about 18 feet up. And I mean, she landed on her back.
Oh, her back
and
broken.
She didn't break her back, but she was messed up from that point on.
Damn.
And they ended up discharging her from the service because she
Really?
was hurt pretty bad. Yeah. Even though they have a sand pit and sawdust and all that
So
stuff.
what
to try and
happens when you
soften
get
it.
discharged like that?
That's still an honorable discharge, right?
Yeah, is that considered honorable
Yeah.
discharge?
Yeah, well, you got to remember now, we were all young at that point. We don't know any better. But
Yeah.
looking back at this point, they had to give her an honorable discharge. Well, actually, she would have gotten a trainee discharge because she hadn't been in long enough.
Oh, because she's still in training.
Yeah, she was still in training, right? And then the VA would have to take care of her at that point.
So you got to be careful too, then, huh?
Yeah,
because you're risking your health and your
Your life.
physical body.
It's not the game.
If you get injured early, you're done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a lot of benefits when you're in a service.
You
There's a lot of
stay long,
benefits
yeah.
that you come out with and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
You gotta be able to-
We'll dig into that piece a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
I got you.
But all right, so
So-
we get out of boot camp, and I get assigned to out of job training, and I get assigned. It's called AIT, or Advanced Individual Training. So now I'm assigned. Everybody else is going Germany. They're going Korea.
really?
They're going all over the country.
Oh, because they're in they had different jobs, but your
No,
job
we all had the
specific-
same job.
What, communications?
We all had the same job,
gotcha.
but now you're getting your orders telling you where you're going to
Where
report to for
everyone's
work.
based in
Right,
different
where you're going to be
places.
working, right?
Gotcha.
So people going to Panama, people going to Germany. I'm like, wait for them to call my name, and then they're like, Dawson, Fort Gordon, Georgia. What the hell? I'm already here, Fort Gordon.
Already here.
What the hell?
I'm
I grew up
staying.
here. Everybody else is going to the airport. I'm staying right
You
here.
actually wanted to get out instead of staying close to home.
That's why you join the army. You want to travel, right?
you wanna
And I'm
travel,
like,
yeah,
what the
yeah.
hell? I'm like, I'm staying right here. I'm the only one from my class that stays right
Staying
here.
home.
So everybody's like, yeah, we'll see you. They're going off to the airport, and I'm like,
That's messed up.
what the hell? And so,
Gotcha.
I get there, and then, like I said, a lot of great times. I had a lot of great times there. Bought my first car there. Got into my first accident too.
Yeah, out there.
Yeah, messing around at that. But yeah, met a lot of great people, did a lot of stuff, did a lot of training. And then, so from there, after I've been there for like 2 years, I get my first set of orders to go someplace different. And I'm happy because I'm going overseas. I'm going to the great
you go?
country of Panama.
Panama.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Panama close to?
Yeah,
What
it's
other
down
countries?
between North America and South America.
Okay.
Right in Central America right there.
How is
It's
Panama?
like land
You know what?
countries.
I tell people like this. Panama, if you've ever been to Hawaii, Panama is like being in Hawaii except
Really?
the cost of living is so much
more
cheaper.
expensive. Oh, cheaper,
Cheaper.
even cheaper. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean Hawaii. I forgot.
Well, Hawaii's
I-
like a,
yeah.
you know,
For some reason, I thought you said Philippines for whatever reason, but Hawaii. Okay, Hawaii's expensive. Hawaii's expensive. Yeah,
super
that makes sense.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
so
Philippines is cheap.
yeah, lots of good times down there. Matter of fact, we would have such good times down in. Matter of fact, they had a basketball court, and I can still remember to this day. It was called we called it the Spectrum, like the one up and used to be in Philly. And we would get off work, man. We get off work at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. We would play basketball till like 11 o'clock at night, and
Oh,
then
man.
we'd have to get up and go run at 6 in the morning the next day.
No,
But I mean, it was just the greatest time. You know, everybody was close.
Nice, yeah.
Everything was just
cool.
great, man. And so I had a great time. And then right as we were getting ready to start the war with Noriega over there, Operation
Noriega.
Just Cause,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
I came out of there and ended up coming right back to guess where?
Georgia.
Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Oh, man.
It's like right back there.
Georgia.
I'm
Wait,
like right
but
back
so you
there.
said you did go, you were a part of the war in
No,
in
I left
Panama.
right before.
You left right
I left
before,
right,
right? Yeah,
before
yeah.
the
Oh,
invasion.
so you got lucky.
Yeah, well, I don't know about lucky was it because what was getting ready to come for next was not so lucky.
Okay.
But so I left out of there we saw the troops move. They were moving them in like at night and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we knew they were there. I was working on a place called Howard Air Force Base. I would go over there and install. And oh, by the way, let me say this about the Air Force at this point. This was my first introduction to Air Force living and how they lived. You know, so we lived in the barracks. They lived in the barracks too, but they had maid service over there. They didn't even make their own beds over there anymore. They were like, they had maids coming in over there and making the beds for them.
So join the Air Force.
It's like, what the hell?
You're over here like wiping my mattress in the hallway and stuff. Come on.
I mean, you know, we're all adults at this point.
Yeah.
But so there were some funny stories though in Panama. Like a couple of them that stands out in my mind was there was this one guy named Miles. He had a wife over there, and they were in this club, right, with these other white guys over there. It was a country club. And this is the funniest thing. So because there wasn't enough room in our little area for all the different clubs, the club next door to us, on one night it'd be country western, another night it might be, you know, R&B,
Yeah.
another night might be Latin night or whatever, right? So Miles was over there on country western, him and his wife. And there was these infantry guys in there. And one of them came up behind Miles, you know, mistaken identity, like, hey, how you doing over there? You know, hey, he thought it was somebody else.
Yeah.
And Miles took offense to, you know, getting hit hard like that because that's
Yeah.
infantry guys. They just messing around.
I think I got a
And
bruise
so-
now. Right?
Yeah. So Miles started mouthing off to the guy, and the guy was trying to say he was sorry, and then his wife started mouthing off to the guy next. And so the guy, at this point, the guy and his buddies, and they all got around him. They were like, "Hey, look, dude, we said we were sorry." Da da da. And Miles' wife wouldn't let it go. Okay, she kept keeping the thing going. So now they've all moved outside, and Miles made the biggest mistake of his life. Miles said, "You guys better leave me alone. I know karate." When Miles woke up later on, when he came to later on, his wife was right beside him, stretched out. She was still unconscious.
Oh, she got beat up too?
He got beat up too.
Oh,
Bec-
damn.
and so they had to do an investigation about that, you know,
Jeez.
assault on a civilian, right? Well, Miles too, of course. But so they did the investigation, and so they asked the guys, "Well, why did you assault him? Why did you beat him so bad and knock the wife out too?" And so the guys were like, "Well, when he said he was a black belt in karate, we figured we better take him out before he took us out."
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the wife got taken out because she wouldn't stop jumping on their backs trying to interfere in the fight. So
that makes
Oh,
sense.
feisty one, huh?
So
She
they're in the
caused
right.
it.
They're in the right. I think from my point of view,
Yeah,
they're in the
yeah.
right. That was okay.
I'm sure there was some type of punishment that was meted out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Yeah.
the work that they gave him.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry.
We're
So
fine.
anyway, so then another one is that so in the barracks, when you live in the barracks life, you're not allowed to have guests come over and stay overnight, right? So one of our companies, the guys, you know, they were in the satellite company, so they were always out of country, and they were coming in and out of country all the time. So they might be in Peru, they might be in Honduras, wherever. So those guys were always gone in and out. So they always tell us, don't bring your female guests to the barracks and let them live in your rooms. So one Saturday morning, there's all these MPs, military police guys, all out there, and they've got the dogs and everything, and they're standing in front of those guys' barracks. And so we're like, what the heck is going on? So now there's a big formation. They bring all the guys out, and they're like, we're going through the rooms with the dogs, looking for contraband, everything else, right? So they done locked all the doors, so there's no getting out. There's only one way in and out. These guys come, when they get through going through the barracks, they found 15 Panamanian women living inside the room.
What
Oh
the
wow. What?
They were in
Wow.
there cooking. They were literally
Their little
living in
maids and everything.
That's crazy.
And
Well, was it against their will?
they were having a good life over there. And then
Oh,
the funny
man.
part was they said in one of the rooms, one guy, when the MPs came to the door and like open up, he was like, hold on. He was trying to hold him out with one hand and had the girl in the closet.
Oh man,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of funny stories down there.
So you was in Panama, you said for
18 months.
18 months.
18
okay.
months.
And back to Georgia.
And back to Georgia.
Then back to Georgia. Okay, so I
You
come back to Georgia.
Stayed in Georgia for a while again.
No, this time I was there for like damn near 4 years.
Okay.
And so once
Damn.
I get there in 89, and no sooner do I get there, it's like not even 10 months later, the Gulf War starts to happen.
The Gulf War. Okay.
Yeah, that thing starts to happen, and then so we're like, we're not going. Heck, we only go out when the generals go out, so we're not going. But then the colonel at our battalion, he's going like, you know what? This is a chance to get a promotion to a colonel. This could look good on a guy's record if I can. So he's politicking, and now next thing you know, we're going over to the Gulf War. And so, it's all fun and games. The money is good. Having a great life. All going all over the world. It's all good now.
Well, I forgot to ask you at this time.
I'm 21, by the way.
Oh, you only 21 at the time.
I'm only 21
Oh,
at this
damn.
point. Yeah.
So, oh wow, okay.
And so,
And at the time you were still single, or
no,
you-
I was married at this point.
You're married?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
married. Matter of fact, newly married at that point.
okay, gotcha.
And
it's-
21, that's young.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The military makes you grow up pretty fast.
Gotcha.
And
So she was living on base with you.
No, we lived off base. We actually lived off base.
That's tough, right?
No, it's tough, but it's not tough as you think it is, because it's like living a normal life, except your job is at this location. Here you report to the base every day, and at 5 o'clock you get off and you go home.
I'm guessing because when you don't see your significant other for like a certain period of time, I guess that could be tough, right?
Well, it's only like that. Like I said,
Yeah,
your
sure.
normal work week, you're seeing each other
some
every
people.
night.
Yeah, sure.
You're seeing each other every night,
Sure, why not?
unless you have to go to training for like a
Okay.
month or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Or if
For
you're like,
me and her-
or if you're like in Iraq or something.
yeah, so for me and
If you got
her,
a
this
bunch of
was our
girls in
first
Panama.
separation. Yeah. So yeah, this was our first separation, and
Yeah.
so it's all fun and games, but then we're all laughing and joking. The planes come and we have to drive our trucks up, our communication vans up onto the plane, and now we're flying. And the whole way over there, everybody's just laughing and having a ball. But as soon as that plane landed in Saudi
Then
Arabia,
everyone's serious, huh?
oh man,
Saudi Arabia?
yeah,
Damn.
we
You
landed in
guys
Saudi
went
Arabia.
to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, we landed-
This was for the war.
Yeah, this is for the war. This is doing Operation Desert Shield. This is the first part.
So
Desert
was
Storm
this like
the actual war?
okay? So this is considered like a mission, right?
Yeah. We're there to provide communications, and we get there, and again, like I said, it is something. It's just something funny.
So what do you mean by you going there to provide communication? So does that mean like you were kind of like the peacemaker between the two people, the two going
No, to
against
set
each
up
other?
communications,
No,
because you have to
right.
set up the towers and all that stuff,
Right.
right?
No, but your
For-
mission though.
No,
I mean,
there
not just you
was
specifically.
there was never going to be any talking at that point. By the time we deployed over there, if you
It was
remember the
ready for
history, right? We were in a build-up phase at that point, and when the build-up started, it was very few of us there. And if they had invaded, they probably could have got us. They probably could have got us early.
Yeah.
But they allowed us to build up to damn near 500,000 troops over there. And once we got that many people on the ground, it was over. You can't.
So they weren't smart.
Well, no, right. Saddam wasn't smart. You can't allow somebody to build up that type of force against you. It'll be like if
Half a
you're
million,
like
that's a lot of
you and Danny Boy decide you're gonna fight these other guys, these two guys here. They're like, hold on, let me go out here and get a couple of my boys. And you sit
Go
up there
ahead,
waiting for them to
just
go
come
get
in.
them,
Yeah.
and then they come back with 20 guys. Now it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna get beat up at that point. So Saddam's mistake was to allow us to actually build up that type of force without attacking first.
Got it.
So again,
why is that? I mean, you would think that they would, right?
well, you have to remember at that point he had invaded Kuwait.
Yeah.
And so, they were trying to hold on to Kuwait, and we were trying to liberate it at that time. Now, I'll let the politicians and everybody else pontificate about why we were really there. But the bottom for us at that point, it was a simple issue of, okay, do our jobs, get in there, get out, and going back home. So, but one of the side effects for me is that I actually took a trip up to Kuwait after the war, and the smoke from the oil fires was so thick that when we were in it, we didn't wear any masks. There was no mask wearing. There was no nothing. You could look up at the sun, and it would be like looking up at the sun or the moon at night, because that's how it would look through all that smoke we were looking at.
Yeah.
We're just sucking this stuff in and not thinking twice about it, and that would come back to haunt me years later on.
Yeah.
So the war is over with. I'm there for 10 months. I get back just in time for my daughter to be born. I mean, I literally get back and she's born I get back in June. She's born in July.
Oh wow.
Right. So,
Quick.
you settle back into everyday life at Georgia, reporting the base. And then it's like 92. It's like 92. So I get back in 91. And then in 92, we decide to go into Somalia.
Somalia.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I'm watching this on TV with my wife and daughter. We're sitting at home. We're watching this, right? And my mom calls me and she's like, "You're not going to that thing, are you?" And I'm like, "Nah, Mom." I'm like, "If we, it's like December 12th." And she's like, "I'm like, nah. If we were gonna go to that thing, because we're all watching on TV when the seals come out of the water, and it's on. I mean, the cameramen are there recording this stuff. That's how secret it was. The cameramen were already waiting for them to come out of the water. And so I'm talking to my mom watching. I'm like, "Nah, if we were gonna go, we'd already know about it, right?" This is December 12th. December 15th, we get the warning order saying, "Get ready, get ready to go." And I'm like, "There's no way we're gonna go, right?" And so, a warning order is one thing. It's just like, be prepared to go.
Be prepared,
heads up.
Okay, December 17th comes, and Christmas is just right here. Christmas tree, presents, everything. Yeah. December 17th comes, I get assigned to B team. I'm not even going. A team is going to go in there. They're going to perform the missions over there, and B team is just on standby, right?
B team is like to support the backup just in case.
Right. Well, on the night of the 17th, the guy leading A team beats his wife, who happens to be a sheriff dispatcher. And so he gets arrested, and all of a sudden, and they're going in. No, they're going into. We're going to fly out. The planes are coming in to pick up our equipment and fly us in Africa on the morning of the 18th. Okay, he gets arrested on the night of the 17th. What? I'm the leader of B team. I get a call because my bag's already packed because you have to be ready to go.
So at this point, you're already a sergeant.
Yeah. Okay. I just got promoted to sergeant.
Okay, so you just got promoted.
Month. Yeah, literally just got promoted that month. And so I get a call that night, and they're telling me what happened, and I'm like, "Oh, there's no way. This is a setup. No. Christmas is right here." So the morning of the 18th, I'm standing at the airport with my bags, and I'm in disbelief, like, how?
I gotta go.
And
Christmas
so
time.
He did that on purpose.
But the plane didn't come. The plane did not come that night. It actually broke down somewhere.
The pilot was in jail also.
He beat his wife.
The next day, though, we're back at the airport with our bags. And that plane comes in, we load up, and we're gone. On the 19th of December, 2 days later, I'm standing in Africa going, "What happened? How did this happen?" I'm with 18, and we're there. And it's like, man, I mean, it was the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because if you can imagine being in a place, and you have to remember, back up a second here. Somalia, in its heyday, was this beautiful city by the ocean. It was gorgeous. And now, it was really great nice. Now it's this place, like, imagine this room right here there's no lights, all the bulbs are gone, the windows are broken, there's no running water, no electricity, no bathrooms, there's nothing. Just the buildings are there. Yeah. That's the only thing that's there. And then the funny part was that the people that were there, they were using the buildings for a bathroom. They'd go in there and poop and pee up on the walls and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And then they were living in grass huts next door. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Why didn't they live there and use the grass hut as a restaurant?
Yeah, I couldn't figure that piece out. And so, we're in this thing, man, and I could have gotten killed like on multiple occasions at this point. There was just so much craziness going on. Look, when we got there, again, we were at a place called the Embassy, right? And this, you guys are gonna laugh when I tell you this piece, but true story. So we get to the Embassy, and the Marines have this base set up over there. Okay, so it's only like about 15 of us Army guys there, and we're on this base full of Marines. And I'm looking to use the bathroom at some point because I'm like, okay, I gotta go take one. All right, I'm asking where's the toilet at, right? Or they call them heads and whatever. Heads? So anyway, they call them heads. I don't know, Marines and Navy, they call them head. John is head, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I go to find one, right? And they said, it's over there by the general's headquarters. So I go over there by the general's headquarters. I swear to you not, there are no walls on this toilet. It's just a big couple of pieces of plywood with a 55-gallon drum underneath and a hole cut in the center. And you got to climb up on it like it's a throne. Literally, you got to literally climb up on a throne. And you're sitting up there on a toilet seat that's wrapped in like duct tape, gray duct tape.
Oh, man.
And there's no walls from anybody. Everybody can just watch you up there grunting away.
Yeah.
Everybody just watching you grunting away up there, man. And so I'm like, I saw that and I was like, oh, hell, there's no way I'm doing this. So I was constipated for a whole week waiting for them to do better because I refused to get up there and be grunting up there. I saw this one guy at night at about 2 a.m. because the time difference was, the time change. Yeah. And so we couldn't sleep. So at 2 a.m, I'm walking around. And there's this guy up there. No, there's no way. I'm not doing that. So they finally brought in a Connex, like the ones that be on the back of the trucks that they move around at the docks. They put a bunch of toilets in there. And then so you had a little privacy there, but it was so funny because, you'd be in there and the guy next door be like, "Hey, can you pass me the paper? Give me the sports section." You're still looking at each other.
Man.
But
That's
yeah,
crazy.
so
That's
anyway,
crazy.
there was that, and then we get away from there. Finally, we go to our own spot next door called the University Compound. This is where Army training really comes into play here, right? So one day, everybody, you walk around with a full load. So you got six magazines of bullets in your thing.
Yeah.
No grenades because they don't want nobody blowing anybody up in there. But your weapon has always got a magazine in it ready to go because you're in a live fire zone.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in there, and one night. Okay, so let me put this back. Up top of the hill is the general's headquarters. At the bottom of the hill is where the bulk of the troops are living in the buildings. They had to pay the Somalis to come in and clean all those shit and stains and pee stains and all that. So they cleaned it out and they started housing the troops in it. Okay, one night a shot went off, and so the people at the top of the hill thought that somebody had gotten inside our encampment and was shooting. So I don't know who fired the first shot, but they started shooting down the hill. The people down the hill started taking rounds, and they knew it was coming from up there, and they started shooting back up the top of the hill. And meanwhile, us poor communication guys, our camp is right in the middle of all this mess.
Oh man!
And we're just hugging the ground like this the whole time, like bullets are going back and forth. How nobody didn't get killed that night, I'll never know.
That's crazy.
And then finally, somebody figured out, hey, we're shooting at each other.
Oh my goodness!
And so they called it off, and that's
So the communication wasn't good, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Poor communication.
So
That's crazy.
no, but then so another one was that when we were in there, I used to deal with a lot of the Somali kids, right? And so those kids, they were just bad kids. So they were just bad kids. So one time we were driving, we had to go from one spot to another spot, right? And we're supposed to make nice with the locals. So, you know, smile at the kids, shake hands, do nice things, right? And so we're driving, and then so these kids on the side of the road, they're waving at us and stuff. And I was telling the guys, because I'm in the convoy commander slot, so I'm like, okay, hey, slow down. We got to be nice. So we wave at them.
Be nice to
the kids are waving at us back, this Danny. And man, as soon as we slowed down, them little rascals pulled them rocks from behind their back. They were just wearing us out.
Jeez.
So we had to leave. And then I'm like, speed up.
Oh man. Oh, they were trying to play you guys. Huh?
No.
Set you up.
There are so many
man.
funny stories about that. But I will say this about the kids. We took stuff over to the orphanages because there would be a lot of unexploded like bombs and munitions from the war that they had. And the kids would lose arms and legs and stuff like that.
Were they like mines too?
Yeah, mines and stuff like that. Because the Civil War had consumed the country, right?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
And so, man, I couldn't even go over there, man. I love kids, and I could not go over there because I knew I would probably broke down if I saw them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, so we took toys and stuff like that over there to them and things like that.
So did the civilians there, they appreciate you guys being there? Or were a lot of them kind of like, why are you guys here and stuff like that?
Well, they knew why we were there, but at the same time, up until a certain point, as you guys probably saw the movie Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
Up until a certain point, we had resisted taking one side or the other. We were just there for peacekeeping.
Because you're kind of you're the peacemaker in between the war going on.
Right, we're there with the UN. And so once we made a decision to go on one side versus the other one, that's when everything started going away. Because I remember, because I wasn't there for that part, but the route that those guys took to get back, we drove that on a daily basis almost.
Oh shit!
That they actually ran that Mogadishu Mile. We drove that on a regular basis. And so one morning we wake up and there was all these but Cobra gunships as Marines, and there's all these attack helicopters surrounding this hill because we're on top of a big hill and we're looking down. And they started attacking these things. And then when it was over, they took like 20 trucks of munitions out of there. And we were like, dang, we've been living this close to this stuff all this time. And they knew it was there. But until we decided to take sides, this is what started to lead up to that guy, ambushing us and all these things like that.
Damn.
Jeez.
So, yeah, it was a lot of stuff that didn't make the newspapers.
Yeah.
At that time, man.
And you were in Somalia for how long?
I was there for 5 months.
Oh, 5 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was there for 5 months.
This is around what year?
This is 90. I got there 91, December 91, and I came out May of 92.
This was under
George W.
Clinton.
Bush and Clinton.
Clinton. Oh, so you're both, huh?
Yeah, Bush brought us in there, and he even came in to visit us at the end. And I didn't want to shake his hand when he came down the line.
Okay.
I didn't even shake his hand because I was so mad at being put there over Christmas.
He was like,
but it wasn't his decision.
New Year's, Christmas.
No. Here's the part that's gonna make you laugh, though, right? So we're all standing there with our rifles and stuff. When the TV cameras are on, you see all these troops out there. The commander in chief is there, and everybody's standing up there with rifles and stuff. We're protecting the guy and right? Here's what you didn't see. So before Bush came in there, they had us open up our rifles and take out the bolts, the charging bolts.
The what?
What's it? Not the charging handle, but the bolt assembly, the part that actually ejects the round, makes the bullet go out, right? You had to pull it out and give it to your sergeants in charge. Because that way you had a rifle. When everybody would look on TV, it would look like you had an actual rifle that was ready to shoot. But you couldn't even you couldn't kill anybody with the thing because you couldn't shoot anybody with it.
Yeah.
And then as soon
It's
as
just
he
for
left,
show, huh?
right, it's right. As soon as he left, then they hand them back out. Okay. Good thing nobody attacked us because if they had him,
you guys would
clubs,
yeah.
we couldn't shoot anybody.
Hit him on the back of the gun.
So that was the funny part.
But just to get serious a little bit, not that we weren't serious already. Did you like lose any friends or anyone that you got close to? Did you lose anyone while you're out there?
Not in the Gulf War or in Somalia, because when the guys, like I said, I had just made sergeant when I went over to Somalia, and one of the things that I remember, the sergeant in charge, platoon sergeant, told me when I took those guys over there, he was like, Sergeant Dawson, he's like, you're in charge of the crew, and I'm only tasking you with one thing, and that is to bring everybody back alive,
back safe.
Yeah, bring everybody back alive. So. Lots of fights over there, lots of foolishness that went on over there, but I always looked up to that part that I got everybody back
home
alive.
safe.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Because I know a lot of
good.
people, have different
That's
stories.
awesome.
So, but that's good that you didn't like lose anyone that you were close to.
If they had, I'd have ran. I'd have been like, I'm running.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
anyway,
All right. I think Danny, do you have some questions?
Oh yeah. Well, before this, I mean, any advice you would give to the youth that wants to join? Any advice you would give them?
Someone that may be considering.
That's considering joining the military or whatever that is.
okay. So let me give you my background on this part. So when I came back from Somalia, I was supposed to go over to Bosnia or Herzegovina, but I had recruiting orders that came down at the same time. So it was like, go to another war zone or take your chance in recruiting. And if you know anything about recruiting, it could be way worse than a war zone.
Yeah.
And so I chose to go in recruiting.
Because it sells. Sales is a war zone.
I chose to go in recruiting, and I ended up spending 16 years in there. And as a recruiter, as what we call a station commander, the guy that runs the office when you go into recruiting, as well as the guidance counselor when you go down to join, you to take your physical, take the test, and people that write your contracts. I did that work, as well as did operations work, and so people that if need waivers, like if you have charges and you want to still get in, people that run that type of paperwork. So I've held just about all the positions necessary to get you through the system.
Okay.
So I'm very well qualified to talk about all branches, all things recruiting. Okay, so with that said, here we go. So the recruiting process starts this way. We have to identify you, and we identify you as juniors in high school and seniors. And
really?
So
they go head hunting.
Yes, we do.
Jeez, I didn't know it goes that deep.
Yeah. And
That's crazy.
And we use all types of tools to find you. So we'll do games. We'll put online games out there, especially nowadays. We'll go to your schools and set up tables. We'll call your house. We'll email you. These days, you have to think back when I was doing it initially. We were doing phone calls, emails, face to face, where we meet you in the mall, go places, stuff like that.
I remember the recruiter would just come and knock on my door and ask for my dad.
That too.
And I'm the one that I open the door, and the recruiter's like, I see your dad. I'm like, you can talk to me. But no, they're aggressive. Recruiters are aggressive.
We're going to get to that piece. Okay. So we have to identify you. Okay. And then once we identify you, and this is where you got to find. So each branch is looking for a specific number of people each year.
Yeah.
So the Air Force,
Right.
we'll get to them in a second. But the Marines, they need the smallest amount out of any of the branches because they're the smallest branch.
Gotcha.
The Navy needs their people. The Air Force needs theirs. The Army needs ours. The Army needs the most people.
The biggest one, right?
The Army's
the biggest.
Right. So we're always looking for it. And so in order to get in, the first thing you have to do is pass the test. Okay. So everybody has their own scores, what they can accept from the minimum score to
Is the test from
the ASVAB.
What do you think?
Right?
Do you think it's pretty hard for the average high school kid?
I've actually taken a test. The ASVAB.
How did you? Is it pretty bad or hard?
No, it's all common sense.
Common sense stuff. Okay.
That you should know.
All right.
You
So
should, right?
let's break this down real quick. Okay. So people are confused about the ASVAB. On the ASVAB, there are 4 sections that count, and then there are the other 6 sections are just the scores that will help you get jobs.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's word knowledge, there's mathematical knowledge, arithmetic, reasoning, and then there is there's vocabulary. Okay. You got to, I said word, not the vocabulary, I meant paragraph comprehension.
Okay.
So those are the 4 that give you the pass or fail score. And then, so if you can get a 31 or better, let's say for the Army, then you can join. Now, that doesn't mean you can be a rocket scientist with a 31, but you can get in the door.
Okay.
Now, if you score what everybody's looking for, the golden apple is 50 or better. If you get 50 or better, that's what every branch is looking for. That means you can pretty much, for the most part, pick and choose what you want to do, and then it unlocks all these additional things you can get, like cash bonuses, more money for college.
Gotcha.
You know, you can pick a duty assignment, things like that. A lot of stuff will unlock at that point if you score 50. Now, it doesn't mean you'll always get it, but it unlocks the door for that. If you get a 31, some of those same things you may not be able to get, or you may be able to, depending on what the situation is. Now, so when we start recruiting you and we find you, then, you know, the first thing we have to do is, convince you that this is a good deal for you. Okay. So, and this is where recruiters get a lot of bad press, because some recruiters will tell you whatever to get you to sign,
to get you in, trying to
lead a girlfriend, throw the wife outdoors with the dog.
And then when that person goes in, you're like,
yeah.
That's not what you told me.
Yeah. You get the idea. Yeah. And a lot, and again, but you guys have to understand, recruiters are under a lot of pressure
to reach
to
that.
themselves, to reach those quotas and the goals and things like that, right?
That's why they're aggressive.
Right. So they're under a lot of pressure. Some of these recruiters have to work on weekends, holidays, and stuff like that. And they weren't able to see their families very much during those times because of the pressure they would be under. So again, once you get someone interested, now you got to be able to make the deal to not only them, but their parents. If they're 17, they can sign up, but they have to have their parents' permission to sign up. So they've got to sign right along with them. If they're 18 and above, then they can sign up on their own anytime they want. They don't need their parents. But what I would always tell recruiters that I train is this: you don't want to get a kid in there and don't get the parents, blessings, because what you're going to do is you're going to get the kid to sign up, but then when they go home and talk to their parents, the parents are going to be upset with them, and they're going to talk them out of it. And now you got to do the work all over again to make up the person that should have been in. Yeah. So it's better just tell people the truth, let them know what's going on, talk to the parents, everybody at one shot, get everybody on the same page, and then if they're going to go, they'll be a happy recruit. Yeah. The parents will be happy. You'll be happy because you don't have to make them up.
Everyone's on the same page. Yeah. Gotcha. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. But I wanted to share my recruiting story because so when I was in high school, I was playing the drums. I was in a marching band, the drum line, and I applied for the different colleges and stuff like that. I didn't get into, so I was kind of like stressed out about it. And there's this recruiter he just walks around lunchtime at Poly High School. He just walks around, and for whatever reason, he looked at me. Headhunted. We made eye contact somehow. We made eye contact, and we just like,
said, "Oh, you,
what's going on?" And we just talked, and he was aggressive, and I thought about joining the Marines, but as in the marching band for the Marines in the drum line.
Okay.
And I was very, very close. I mean, I wanted to do it, but I auditioned. And I didn't make it.
Because you didn't make it?
I mean, I was a good drummer, but if you got to think about it, there's thousands of people auditioning for like only a few spots in the Marines for the whole entire country.
There's not thousands.
Oh, I don't know.
It was like 10.
Well, the marching band had like 100 people in it. So, I mean, I'm sure there was like about 1,000 people auditioning, trying to get into it. You know what I mean? So, in my high school, I was the leader. I was the captain. I was the best. But trying to get into the Marines, the marching band was like, this guy's trash.
I know. Marines. He's like,
I was like, I got rejected. I was like, this is my first rejection. Like, I'm like, what? I didn't make it. So I was that close to making the marching band for the Marines.
I've told Danny this before, and this is something you guys need to understand. Okay, so all the branches are looking for the same people, but the Marines target the API community, or the Asian Pacific Islander community in particular, because of the family connection and the family bond. And they sell you guys on the fact that, we're just like your family. We got this family structure with this, with that. And people buy into it. But what they don't realize is that the Marine Corps offers the least when it comes to stuff that you can get as far as like bonuses, things that you could also be able to, duty assignments, stuff like that. They offer the least. And the guys and girls don't find this out until they're in there. When I ran a recruiting office in Hawaii, it was right out back of Kaneohe Marine Corps base. And like clockwork on Fridays, this is exactly what would happen. Marines would get out, they would get off work, they'd run right down to my office, and they would go like this. They've been in the Marines about 3 years. They're getting ready to get out, and they're like this. I'd be sitting in my back office, and I'd be watching my recruiters talking to them. And this is how the conversation would go. the Marines would come in there barking loud, talking about, I want this. If I'm joining the Army, I want to do this. And the recruiters would be sitting there listening to this stuff. And I'd be sitting back there laughing. And then finally, when I've heard enough, I come out of my office and I go up to the Marines and I said like this. I tell them exactly like this. Shut the hell up. And this is what you're going to get. You're going to get this. And if I want to give you that, you're going to get it. And you're going to do this, this, and this. And you might think that's harsh, but the Marines are trained like that. When you talk to them like that, they get it. When you're like, oh yeah, it's okay. They don't respect that.
Yeah, they're like, no.
They don't respect that at all. So you have to tell them, look, because I tell them point blank, look, when you were being recruited in high school, I guarantee you, an Army guy tried to talk to you, but you wouldn't listen. You didn't want to hear nothing, and you didn't tell the Marines you want this, and this. You just took what they gave you. So don't come in my office now telling us what you demand. You'll take what we'll give you, and you'll be happy doing it. And it's because they got screwed over, and then they brought their buddies in at the same time, and they got screwed over.
Yeah.
And now that they've been in there for a while, they're looking at the Army and going, dang, those guys got this, and this, and we got nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, if you just want to be in there for the sake of being in there, like I had a girl in Arkansas tell me once, I just like the sword and the hat. Okay, well, I can't do it for you. Okay, cool. All right, that works for you, works for me. But
Awesome.
you know what I'm saying?
Sword and hat.
But if you want to look at the way it goes, so the Marines, again, they always like to point out they're the toughest, whatever. Okay, that's here nor there. I'll leave that for the debate. But they offer the least. But if you just want that, if you want that bond, if you want to be a Marine, be a Marine. The Navy allows you to pick what you want to do for the most part and go on about your business. So I've always said they're a good choice. The Air Force, that's royalty right there. I'm just tell it like it is. That's royalty
that's
right
royalty,
there. Yeah. Matter of fact, the recruiters don't even work. They just sit in the office and they just let people walk in, call in. They don't even have to recruit.
Yeah.
They just walk in
They're
because their boot camp is like summer camp for God's sake. So anyway,
I heard.
Shots fired, huh?
The Army offers the most, and I mean around the board, period. And yet, we have the hardest time for the most part because there's all these perceptions, especially from Vietnam.
But
people hear all
also,
these stories.
also
and
you have a higher quota to Army's a lot bigger, so you need to get more people in too. So that can be a lot more stressful.
But everybody's got their Army stories. They got their old grandpa that saw combat in Civil War, I guess, or whatever, and they get all these stories.
I know. Recently, I heard someone speaking about I don't know if it was Trump that's trying to create
Space Force.
Space Force.
Space Force.
What do you think about that? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? I see you laughing about it, so I'm guessing.
All right. So, in all honesty,
spend money somehow, huh?
In all honesty, it should have stayed. They should have made that a subset of the Air Force and let it alone. It's kind of like
a part of Air Force, right?
Right. Because
so it's not.
People don't understand. A lot of people don't remember this, but the Air Force used to be a part of the Army. It used to be the Army Air Corps,
and then it broke off to its own.
And then it broke off on its own once they got further down the road.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Space Force is not ready for prime time on its own. So they should have been a part of the Air Force until such time as they're ready to go on. I mean, last time I checked, I didn't see any space shows going up with lasers on.
Yeah, exactly.
But the purpose of the Space Force obviously is going to be different from the Air Force. Is that the Space Force is going to be supposedly fighting UFOs, aliens. if there's some type of invasion and stuff like that, technically Space Force is supposed to be meant to fight that, right? Is that what?
No, that's not what they're for. But let's just put this in perspective because I know we all see the Independence Day movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let's just be real.
Yeah.
If aliens could come here from another planet, let's just be real about this. It would not be like Independence Day. We would get crushed.
Yeah.
Anybody that could travel that type of distance to come here, the technology would be so far above us. There would not be any uploading virus stuff like Hollywood.
We could barely land something in Mars.
I think if they wanted
a couple snapshots.
If they wanted to attack us, they probably would have done it already, and we would all be dead already.
We'll be destroyed, bro. There's no way.
But I think they're good.
We've only been to the moon once.
So they're leaving us alone.
We've only been to the moon once.
Yeah. So Space Force, there is a place, but it still should have been, in my opinion now, just as my opinion, it should have still been inside of the Air Force until it was ready to stand on its own 2 feet.
Gotcha.
Well, so just to kind of get away from all that now, and then I know you've been retired for a while, then you started working for the Mission Continues, right? You're working with veterans?
Right. So when I retired in 2012,
tell us a little bit about that.
I was finishing up my degree, and I get this email from my vocational rehab counselor at the VA, Veterans Administration. And there's this thing about you can volunteer, and people will pay you to volunteer for 20 hours a week. And I'm like, it's a scam. I've been in the military. That's a scam. I've never heard one. There's no way somebody's going to pay me to volunteer. and I pick where I want to volunteer. So I chose to work at my wife's high school, which is Kelly over there.
That's where you met her, right?
Yeah. So that's the story of how you guys met. Okay.
No, this is after we. Okay. So I guess I got to toss it in. So the way I met the wife, it was real simple. I had just gotten on my recruiters that morning because they were giving me all these song and dance about how you couldn't go knock on doors, drive-bys in Compton. And so I'm like,
well, it's nice in Compton.
I'm like, come on.
Rules are a little bit different in Compton.
Yeah, because I just taken over the recruiting office in Carson. And so I'm like, look, this is what we do and this is how we do it. Because I'm really good at recruiting. So I'm like, this is what we're going to do and da-da-da. And so I'm like, you have to get into schools, just like, because they were like, the Marines are doing good over there, but we're not. And you know why they're doing good? Because they're over there and you're not. You can't, how are you going to get somebody in if you don't go over there?
Right.
So I was just giving them what for that morning about going over there. And my phone rings. And there's this little voice on the phone going like, is this the Army office? And I'm like, yeah, this is the Army office. It's Sergeant Dawson. And so I'm like, she's like, well, I've got this calendar and it's got this thing in the back that says call this number because my calendar's expired. And I'm like, okay, but sure, we can get you a calendar. We can get you to you tomorrow because I had a meeting to go to that day. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't remember going to Compton. So I'm like, wait a minute, Compton is just right there. I got to go to Long Beach. I can just drop it off the same day. So I was like, okay, I'll drop it off. And so I go on my way over there. I just go over there, find her room, drop it off to her. And the funny part of it was, I didn't even look twice at her. I thought she looked cute, to be honest with you, back in the time. But I was like, I'm like, here's your calendar. Nice to meet you. I've got to get going to my meeting. Follow up later. And gave her my business card. And so that was the end of it, And then, what is it? I guess about a couple of weeks later, after I had a chance to settle down, I'm like, hey, do you mind if we come over and speak to your students about, military service, put some stuff out? And she was like, yeah, sure, come. So I came on, I spoke in there, and of course the kids gave me a hard time, but yeah, of course,
They started banging on you.
Bad kids, man.
Yeah, but I can always handle kids in class, never been a problem.
Yeah.
So we get through with that, and then so to show my appreciation to her for allowing me to come in her class, because that was the first time we had spoken on the campus at Compton that anybody could remember. Yeah. So I told her I would bring her lunch. And so I brought her lunch and we sat down and we started talking. We had lunch, we were talking. And then, just kind of one thing led to another. Oh, you this, you that. Yeah. So then, just one thing led to another. And then we found out we only stayed like about 5 miles from each other. And so, just started funny. I would tell you the funny story, but, because she couldn't let, Christine and Danny know that we were talking in the beginning. So she would have me meet her at these clandestine locations. Something.
The secret is out.
Yeah. So we would meet at the Sizzles across the street from her house and be like, okay, I don't know. She'd tell him she's going for a walk or something. And then she'd meet me and talk.
She's like, later on, we see Willie coming by.
And then she's like,
it's like 5 was in one little small 1-bedroom.
She's like, I'm going to go out to walk the dog. We don't even have a dog.
There's no dogs.
And so,
wow.
So we just kind of took off from there.
Nice. That's cool. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. What was the question we got?
Yeah. No, we appreciate you, Willie, coming by and giving us all the information. But we just want to get... ask these random questions. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You did ask me. I know what it was. Okay. So I worked for the Michigan Continues for 6.5 years, and then I left them in 2020.
Okay.
And then
last year?
Yeah. So I was unemployed for a whole 4 months, and then I started working for an organization called the Center for Pacific Asian Families, and we deal with domestic violence.
Asian Families.
Right. We deal with domestic violence and sexual assault victims in the Asian Pacific Islander community.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm currently working.
Which is big
awesome.
Because I think
especially
the
right
Asian
now
community don't really
have anything like
report those type of things.
Yeah,
no, they don't report it. Though.
But yeah, that's true.
I mean?
That's the biggest thing.
So I think that's
Asians
actually
keep
very
themselves
important.
too much.
Yeah. So
Well,
so that's good to have something like that.
That's awesome. If you said you wanted to plug the number.
Yeah, So we do have a 24-hour helpline that you can call any time of day, and we have people that speak all different languages from the API community, and that's 1-800-339-3940. 1-800-339-3940.
So if you are getting...
I'll go ahead and put that information into like our description too, so anyone that wants to check it out.
So anybody can call.
Yeah.
Is there a website? Is there a website also?
Yes. I mean, you're going to ask me that if you want, I'm going to be mad.
Okay, you can give it to me later, and I'll put it into the description. You can give it to me later.
Yeah, but it's nurturingchange.org.
Nurturingchange.org.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll put it into the information.
Yeah. So, but we're going to get into that a little bit later on in
Right.
another podcast, another episode, a little bit what you're doing there. But I think that's a very important thing for the Asian community to know about too, because
Yep.
you don't deserve to be treated that way, and you should be saved.
Yep. We can definitely do a second episode.
Yeah, for
Come
that,
back.
for
You
sure.
gotta come back on
For sure.
another time.
Yeah.
But we're gonna end this off with 2 random questions.
Oh,
Really?
jeez.
So
Random.
we
I
want
plead
you
the
to
fifth?
ask. Yeah, you're gonna ask these questions. Okay, you cannot plead the fifth.
Just for
cannot-
you, Willie.
Just for
Alright,
you.
alright,
Just for
we
We
you.
don't need to
got-
answer these ones, Danny. We'll just have Willie.
No, we're not gonna answer.
We'll
She's
just
gonna
have Willie
you
answer these ones.
And then,
All right, go ahead. What you got?
should I do Would You Rather? Or should I do this?
Do that one. Do that one.
This, okay.
Yeah,
Something weird,
the Would You Rather one can get a little bit crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could. It could.
Yeah,
What you got?
It can get a little
Well,
crazy.
these are just 2 random ones I picked out. So
Right.
here's the first one. What do you value most in your friends?
Wow.
Ooh, that is a
That's a
very
good
good
one.
question. Yeah,
It's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think that they're honest and they're respectful, and that they tell me the way it is, because I know it, like, for example, in the Pacific Island and Asian community,
Yeah.
there's a lot about saving face and so forth,
Yeah.
and making sure people don't get offended with you.
Yep.
But I
cares?
prefer people just tell it to me the truth, and then I can handle it. And so Fila, if you owe me money and you're not going to pay me back, just tell me
Just
now.
say, hey, I'm not gonna pay you back.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay you back.
Hey, I'm
so
not
that
gonna
I
pay
can
you
break
back.
your leg. Now it's over with.
Get it over now.
We don't have to wait 3
that's
days.
True, that's true.
But just be honest, be upfront with people, and the thing
That's
I always tell
important.
people is be respectful to people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very
that's
important
true.
for sure.
That's
Yeah,
true.
honesty, I think with friends is very important.
Especially because that's your close circle. That's your inner circle.
Yeah.
Those are people you see all the time. Those are people that you care about the most. So you want them to be honest with you.
All right, that was a really good answer, Willie.
That was a good question. Good answer.
And here's another one. I think it's a really good one too. What is something that you like that most people don't?
Well, for the younger folks, I like to read a lot, and
Oh, yeah. Nobody likes reading.
Nobody likes to read. No, nobody
Yeah,
likes to
you
read.
know what?
That is
We don't like to read, but we like to read. Me and Danny read sometimes. Sometimes.
Okay, what's the last book you read, Danny?
Last book I'm reading right now.
last
Last book I read. Damn, what's the last book I read?
the last book you read
No,
was
Felix,
the one
don't-
you, was the
don't-
one you
baby
gave
book.
me.
It's
What
a
about
baby
The
book.
Art of War.
Oh, The Art of War. I'm
Art
reading
of
Art of
War.
War right now.
Who
That
wrote
was-
it?
Sun Tzu.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sun Tzu. Yeah.
What's
we
one
have
thing?
over here somewhere, don't
Yeah,
we?
I'm gonna put you guys on the spot now. What's one thing in there?
Was one thing in there?
One saying that he said. Come on, one saying.
Oh, I don't remember the sayings. It's a short book. It's a really thin book. I
Yeah.
don't remember the sayings. It's been a couple
It's a
months
big
since I
book.
read it though. But
I can't even remember right
yeah,
now.
I can remember too. I'm sorry.
All right. So one of the things that he talked about in that book is when you're facing the enemy, if the enemy is here, you be where? Especially if the enemy is there in strength, you be someplace else.
Somewhere else,
You never
okay.
want to face the enemy
Head
at
on.
full strength.
Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. I that I got from the book. It was about preparation. If you're always prepared or something like that for the enemy.
Oh yeah. So then you never have to get
So no,
prepared.
you always get there before the enemy does.
Right.
So that way you're already prepared, and
So you
you're
don't have to
not
get prepared.
rushing to get prepared for the
Right,
enemy
right.
to come.
Okay.
So you already be like, I guess, steps ahead.
Okay.
So
Good enough.
be there before the enemy.
All right.
Yeah.
all right. So
That's-
you guys
that's
are
what I-
reading a little bit there.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
Well,
So
I
yeah.
am.
A
I
little
don't know about
bit,
Philip.
yeah.
Philip, have you read that book?
I read things or I watch movies. I just forget right away after. But while I'm reading it or while I'm watching it, I get the information.
Yeah.
Then I forget.
I got you.
Yeah.
That happens.
Oh, but I'm gonna leave you with you guys this one thing though,
Mm-hmm.
because I told you guys earlier when I was in the war and I sucked up in all that good smoke, and
Mm-hmm.
this is part where people need to remember, especially if you're gonna go in, is that it caused me to have a lot of respiratory issues later on in life. They didn't start right in the beginning; they started like about 6-7 years afterwards. I would start to get sick every year. I would get bronchitis. They would say sinusitis. It was something every year. And it slowed down my metabolism a lot because like I said, I used to be, always play all sports, everything.
Yeah.
And it starts sapping you. It starts sapping, and then you get out, and then there's nobody there to tell you where you need to go. So like you have to navigate the Veterans Administration or the VA on your own. And so I would tell anybody that's in there now, make sure you document everything that happens to you while you're in
okay.
there, because you don't want to have to get out and then
Right,
have to
right.
fight the VA to prove that
Right,
you know
right.
what happened to you happened.
Yeah.
Because they will give you the runaround. Because with my sleep apnea, it took me, even though they gave me the machine, it took 2 years of fighting with Jelly's help after I was out to even get my benefits. Because
Gotcha.
Thank you, Jelly.
They try to fight it.
Thank you, Mama
That
Jelly.
makes sense, though. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
Awesome,
just take
awesome.
care of yourselves while you're in there, and definitely document anything that
Take care of
happens
yourself, document, and yeah, I think that's very good advice there.
Yeah.
Well, again, we do appreciate you coming on the podcast
Yes, sir.
with
Yes,
us.
sir. Yes, sir.
Can't wait for the second one when we talk about Where we talk about what was
Appreciate
it?
you,
What was the
Willie.
organization you work for again?
CPAP for short, but the Center for
CPAP.
Pacific Asian Families.
Center for Pacific.
That's awesome. Thank you,
Round
Willie.
two.
We appreciate
Thank
you.
you, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you for sharing your stories, and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
we will definitely have you back again because
Mhm.
next time, I think we can get into more details next time.
Wait,
Yeah,
I think I can do this job better than you guys.
Yeah.
I
think you should, honestly.
We'll put you guys.
I
on
think
the
you
seat.
should.
That's cool. I think second episode we can definitely do that.
You can grill us the next
We can
time.
definitely do that. Yeah, for sure. All right, Willie. Well, thank you so much
I
for your
appreciate
time. We
everybody
appreciate
tuning
you
in with
guys.
us too.
All right, thank you
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you.
Peace.